for the voter to send a copy of their ID when mailing in the request and send a second copy along with the completed ballot when they return it. Widespread use of mail-in ballots was something the Trump campaign complained about, though Georgia officials say few instances of fraud were discovered. Eben Brown, Fox News.
Country star Kenny.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
NASA's recent discovery of water on Mercury has led to speculation among scientists that the planet could potentially sustain an intergalactic space prison housing the universe's worst criminals. Scientists believe that organic compounds found on the planet's surface could be useful for creating an off-world space Australia, where strength is the only law. However, they caution it is too early to say whether or not fights among the space jail's prisoners would be broadcast here on Earth for the entertainment of wealthy gamblers. But NASA's lead researchers do say that Mercury's ability to support human life raises important questions about who the prison guards would be.
Perhaps the guards themselves would be space mercenaries, or maybe we'd just use robots.
The robots would have guns for hands.
Well, obviously.
Critics inside NASA caution against funneling too many resources into the Mercury project when it would be so much cooler to build a prison on the moon ruled by clones of the prisoners themselves. Researchers encourage the public to read their findings, which have been released in the form of a graphic novel titled The Mercury Cipher.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. Welcome to the program. The number for you to join us here, 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Of course, you can bring up anything that happens to be on your mind. Tonight, in the studio with you, you've got Ian.
Bonnie.
And nobody.
So last night we got into this story about the about GameStop and this Reddit community that has targeted GameStop as a stock, sort of this dying company to prop up and also at the same time attack the hedge funds out there, which, as I learned last night, are stock trader types who, have got a bunch of money and they put bets basically on companies that they think are going to die, and they essentially do that by borrowing the stock for that company from people, selling that stock at the moment that they borrow it for whatever the price is, then expecting that it's going to go down later. If it does go down, they repurchase the stock on the market, giving it back to whomever they borrowed it from and making whatever the difference was in the process.
Yeah, that's called a short sale.
Yeah.
You can carry out an equivalent thing by running up a whole bunch of debt on your credit card and buying crypto. If you think the dollar is going to disappear sometime soon, or you don't really care what the credit card companies think of you.
In that case, you're saying the crypto would go up in value, not down.
Well, the crypto would go up in value, but the dollar would go down. Every time you go short on one thing, you go long on something else.
Okay, right. So anyway, what happened was these people went in and they bought a bunch of GameStop stock, and that pumped the price up of the GameStop, which had been just tanking for the last few years because who wants to go to a physical video game store anymore?
I'd be happy to go just about any place physical these days.
Well, it was even before COVID. It was a company that was on the way out.
Oh yeah,
and they brought the stock price up from like $13 to over $300 in less than a month. And as a result of that, there's all these short positions from these hedge fund managers that had to be filled because the price started going up. Well, now that these people are not only buying the stock, but they're also agreeing to not sell the GameStop stock at these high prices, which means the prices keep going up even higher because there aren't that many stocks available to purchase.
Yeah, that's not going to turn out well, though. That's
not for the hedge fund managers.
Well, it's not going to turn out well for the buyers either. It's more or less a Ponzi scheme, because what's going to happen is some people who realize that the stock is far above its true value, if they know you're doing that, will be buying it and then buying it and selling it. Or shorting it. Sooner or later, what goes up must come down.
Oh yeah, I don't know how long they're going to be able to...
They can't keep it up in the air forever.
No doubt.
Yeah, I was wondering, how can they just not sell it? Well, how can they make money if they just don't sell it?
Well, you only make money when you sell it. But they're coordinating on this Reddit community called Wall Street Bets, and they're to the best that they can voluntarily coordinate. Obviously, they can only ask people to not sell, but some people have sold and they've paid off their college loans, or they've they've bought some expensive medicine for their mother. And there's people giving examples of the ways they are selling, but overall, the message is to hold on and keep the supply of this stock very, very low. So when these hedge funds have to go and buy the stuff back, that means they have to bid the price up even more to get whatever's left.
So are they doing HODL memes?
I don't know. I'm not in the
They should
Reddit.
do HODL memes. That's what we did.
But there's an update here, because one of the things that was pointed out last night is that the reason why this sort of buying is even possible in the first place is because over the last decade there have been methods for people to buy stocks directly that hadn't existed previously. It used to be you had to go through some sort of a broker, and then he had to go and place an order, and there was like some steps involved. But now with apps like, and we mentioned this one, Robinhood, they're not an advertiser, but I have the app just to see what all the hubbub was about. I'd heard that there was a lot of talk about this thing, and I'm like, I'll play around a little bit. I'll throw a little bit of money at a couple of stocks just to see what happens. I hadn't bought stocks in 2 decades, and 2 decades ago I only bought a couple just as an experiment.
You can also buy crypto through Robinhood.
That's what
my brother's doing that.
Yeah, and that's what put them on my radar, actually, was that they started doing Bitcoin. I'm like, okay, well, this is worth looking at.
I used my first stimulus check and put it in. I only got like $50. I should have done cryptocurrency, but I didn't really know about it.
You might get another stimulus check, so who knows? You have another chance. So that's what brought it
out that stimulus.
That's what brought
Daddy
it to my
needs a new pair of
attention
shoes.
In the first place. And so we mentioned this Robinhood app as a way that someone could buy a single stock, right? You don't have to buy a bunch of stocks. You don't have to buy a fund or whatever. You can buy whatever little stocks or big stocks that you want to. Well, not anymore. According to news, Robinhood has now restricted trading in the GameStop stock. According to CNBC, retail brokerages restricted trading in GameStop and other stocks caught in a frenzy that has captivated Wall Street and caused big losses for hedge funds. Free stock trading pioneer Robinhood, and what they mean by free is that, from what I understand, there's no per trading fee. Right? Because it used to be back in the day, if you wanted to buy a stock, you had to pay the brokerage a fee to make the trade or the purchase for you. And apparently,
Ameritrade, it was a big deal when Ameritrade came out, and I think they were doing like 4% or something, and that was supposed to be really good. So, yeah, I wonder what their business model is.
That's a good question. Free stock trading pioneer Robinhood and Interactive Brokers said that in some cases, investors would be able to sell only their positions and not open new ones. Both brokerages raised margin requirements on certain securities. Robinhood told clients in a blog post it would close out some positions automatically if the client was at risk of not having the necessary collateral. Now, I don't know what that all means. To me, that's just stock talk.
Well, it means that if they're buying on margin, if they're borrowing the money to buy this, then what I said. I don't know when it's going to happen, but sooner or later that stock is going to crater. Yeah. So if they borrowed a bunch of money to buy the stock, it's likely that brokerage is not just Robinhood, but other brokerages as well, will close out those positions while they're in the black, rather than risk the stock going through the floor while they're still owed money, and then the brokerage has a bad debt on its hands. So that's not, if it's leveraged, then it's not surprising that the brokerage would be closing those accounts.
Well, it's still not clear because it does say that they're restricting transactions to position closing only. Does that mean you can only sell in that case? Is that what that means?
Yeah, that would mean that you could get out of a position and back into cash.
Yeah.
But you could not open up another opinion. What they're doing is probably technically illegal.
By blocking their clients from making a purchase?
No, I'm saying what the clients are doing is probably technically illegal.
By agreeing to buy or sell a stock?
Yeah, it's technically a pump and dump. Although, well, let's put it this way.
But it's not based on a rumor.
It would be illegal for brokers to do it. Whether it's illegal for the general public, I can't say.
Well, they don't have any insider information. I mean, they don't have any insider information.
The insider information that they have is what they themselves are doing.
Sure, but it's not private. It's public on this particular group. It's not like they don't have like an insider.
True. Usually this kind of thing is done secretively.
Yeah, they don't have a tip from somebody inside the company saying, "Hey, this thing's going to happen," and then because that's normally what an insider info is.
Well, that's
right?
normally what it is. But if Osama bin Laden had called you up and the day before 9/11 and said, "Hey, I'm going to knock down these buildings," and you'd shorted United Airlines based on that, that would technically be insider trading as well, because you had non-public information that was material to the stock.
So anyway, Robinhood, which is supposed to be this...
Not that I think bin Laden did it.
Which is supposed to be this app that empowers people to make their own stock trades, is now cracking down on GameStop and other ones, including AMC Theaters, which we were talking about last night as well, restricting the trades of these things. Although I did buy AMC through Robinhood last night, and the trade went through this morning, so maybe they put the restriction in at some point today. And anyway, more coming up here. 603-283-6160. Join us.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
Today's fitness trackers can tell how far you're running, but tomorrow's can tell you why you're running. The new Nike Run Logic Plus pinpoints the desperate psychological demons at the root of your exercise routine. Tech Trends reporter Aaron Vaughn has more.
It's a problem all runners face. You run and you run and you run, but it's never enough. No matter how many miles you put in, that gnawing ache at your soul never goes away. Now Nike's engineers have found a way for runners to use that existential pain to push themselves even farther. Users keep the device on their wrist at all times. It not only records running times and distances, it also analyzes all of the user's social interactions and emotional patterns. It then creates a unique, detailed profile that dredges the inspiring well of inner turmoil inside every runner. Early users say they notice a big impact on their workout.
I started marathoning when I was 28. I thought it was time to get in shape, but then once I realized I was actually running from my meaningless job in ad sales, I started running a lot more, like all the time.
This is the Onion News Network.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up at any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live, and of course you can join us here at 603-283-6160. Thought you were going to go out and buy some GameStop or AMC stocks? Well, not on Robinhood. They have limited those stocks as well as others to what they consider to be failing. Whatever's failing, I guess, they're limiting, or maybe they're limiting only the ones which have big short positions by their parent company, which apparently... Now, I have not seen this confirmed, but rumor has it, and you've seen this apparently somewhere today, nobody. That
I've seen the rumor. I have not looked into it to confirm.
Yeah, rumor has it that this Robinhood app is actually partially owned by one of the hedge funds that is hurting big time financially right now by this whole GameStop situation that we've been talking about over the last day here on Free Talk Live. With you in the studio tonight, by the way, it's Ian.
Bonnie.
Nobody.
And also I want to invite you to check out Bitcoin.com because, stocks, they're not that exciting. But what's happening with these stocks are pretty interesting. But besides that, we love talking about cryptocurrency here on Free Talk Live. And one of the things that makes cryptocurrency like Bitcoin better than stocks is that you don't have to ask anyone's permission to get involved in cryptocurrency. You don't have to go through a know your customer process, jumping through hoops, giving over social security numbers, personal addresses, financial history, bank accounts, statements, things like that.
Not if you meet me in the alley behind the bar.
Right. So there are ways to get cryptocurrency that don't involve all the sort of inside the system stuff, which is, of course, the only way you can get a hold of stocks. So if you want to learn about Bitcoin, that's just one aspect of Bitcoin that makes it unique, makes it special, makes cryptocurrency different. Go to Bitcoin.com. They'll tell you about Bitcoin, and they'll tell you about Bitcoin Cash as well while you're there in the Get Started section of Bitcoin.com. If you're not so new to cryptocurrency, then you can get the latest headlines over at news.bitcoin.com. So
I've decided that I'm going to call Bitcoin Cash Bitcoin, and I'm going to call Bitcoin Legacy.
Okay. All right. So Robinhood.com in their blog post today, here's their excuse. And by the way, I did check the app. So last night when we were talking about this subject, AMC Theaters was mentioned as a possible another one of these things that Wall Street Bets may be targeting.
Dogecoin also.
Oh, they went after Doge today? I heard the headlines on that.
I've heard.
Okay, that's interesting because I also heard that Wall Street Bets bans any talk of cryptocurrencies.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, screw them then.
So, yeah, I don't know what the truth about that is, but regardless, this company Robinhood, they put out a statement late in the day today. So the trade I made last night to buy AMC did go through. So they fulfilled that this morning, but now if you go and you look at AMC on their app, it is restricted and you cannot purchase it. You can only sell it.
You can't see if it went up or
you can see if it went up. Yeah, and in fact, it went down since yesterday. So they may not be actually doing AMC. There was just talk about it.
Yeah, see, these stocks are going to slowly deflate. So, if I was going to make a move after hearing the news that I heard about what happened yesterday, my move would have been to short the stock on the assumption that, it may not go down immediately, but it has to go down sooner or later. It can't just defy gravity.
Sure. In this case, AMC was at like $13 yesterday. So they hadn't been doing the pumping of AMC yet, it didn't seem like, compared to what they'd been doing with GameStop.
Yeah, I was thinking more of shorting GameStop.
But how do you short? Okay, so this is why I don't know a whole lot about stocks, right? So as I understand it, with the hedge funds, they're borrowing the stock to short it, to then sell, and then they have to rebuy it later. If you as an individual are shorting it, who do you borrow it from?
Well, you tell your broker you want to short, and he, interestingly enough, unbeknownst to his other investors, borrows the stock from them because he holds everybody's stock and lends it out. So he's kind of going short on that, and he will ultimately be responsible for making sure that they get their shares back, which is why they're so serious about recollecting on shorts, because if you don't get it back to him, he's going to have to buy it.
It does sound scummy like a bank, for sure.
It is very much like fractional reserve when you do this, and naked shorts are worse. A naked short is when you basically, through some sort of skullduggery, take a short position when you don't actually own the thing, and companies will occasionally do that as ways of manipulating the market, and it creates the illusion that more of this stuff exists than actually exists.
That sounds more illegal than what the Reddit people did.
I suspect it's fully
naked
legal.
Shorts are definitely in fraud territory.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, naked shorts fraud.
But normal shorting, totally legal.
Normal shorting is, it's legal provided you do it within the regulatory limits placed on such things.
So Robinhood claims their mission is to democratize finance for all, which, of course, now they're deciding as a central authority to restrict certain stocks from being purchased. So
without any voters.
Yeah, I'm not sure how this is democratizing anything, but they say we're proud to have created a platform that has helped everyday people from all backgrounds shape their financial futures and invest for the long term. We continuously monitor the markets and make changes where necessary. In light of recent volatility, we are restricting transactions for certain securities to position closing only, meaning you can only sell, and then they list what appears to be at least 6 or maybe a dozen different companies, including AMC and including GameStop. We also raised margin requirements, they say, for certain securities. They say amid significant market volatility, it's as important as ever that we help customers stay informed. That's why we're committed to providing people with educational resources. And then they go on to talk about how they have all these resources, but the reality is they're not letting their customers make a decision. They're telling their customers now, we'll only allow you to make one decision, which is to sell.
I wonder if this is the first time they've done anything like that.
Great question.
It is an interesting question. And yeah, I understand their thinking. They don't want to be left with bad debt, and they're going to be just as aware, probably much more aware than I am, that these stocks can't defy gravity forever. So, it's just like whenever anything bubbles, you want to get out at the top if you want to make money. You don't want to hold a bubble or it will pop.
That's why I'm confused about why they're just holding them. I'd be scared to do that.
Why who's holding? Oh, the GameStop people? Yeah. Well, they think they can keep pushing it up. Their goal is to keep pushing the...
definitely going to be a diminishing returns on that.
I suspect you're right about that. And I haven't looked at the price today, especially now with all of the restrictions going into the place. Now, a really big question is, where can you buy GameStop? because you can't buy it on Robinhood. What other restrictions have been placed in the market or by these various different traders or brokers to restrict? I mean, how many different places can you actually buy this stock through? So if you know,
it's hard to say. Even the NASDAQ itself was
froze trading.
Froze trading several times yesterday.
603-283-6160 if you want to join us here. And turns out there's now a class action lawsuit that has been filed, according to Vice.com, against Robinhood.
Oh, that was quick.
Yeah.
And I'll be really curious to see how that turns out.
Me too. And we'll tell you a little bit more about that on the way here. Again, if you want to weigh in, 603-283-6160. You can join us on the radio. And also, you can bring up anything you want. This is Free Talk Live.
Moose is the German Shepherd, now 11, and he's been an amazing dog. Moose is so active and so alert and hasn't had any kind of health problems at all. He has a beautiful coat, and at 11, he'll still run and chase the ball. He has been on Dynavite since he's a puppy.
Dynavite for life.
Because if they're getting all their vitamins, micronutrients, microbials from the beginning, then you're not going to run into the problems associated with the grass, pollen, dust, dirt, fleas, ticks, you name it, and the itching and shedding down the road.
DINOVITE.com.
We tell anybody that has a dog, if there was something that you could do right from the beginning so that you don't have expensive veterinary bills, why would you not do it? Get the Dynavite.
You won't believe how happy your dog will be.
I get my Dynavite from DINOVITE.com.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live, and you can join us here. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's Ian.
Bonnie.
Nobody.
And, of course, you can bring up anything you want. We'll go to your calls and thoughts. Plus, coming up, Robinhood, the stock trading app that supposedly allows you to make your own decisions about buying which stocks you want to buy, has decided, nope. They're going to decide for you. You're not going to be able to buy AMC theaters. You're not going to be able to buy GameStop. You're not going to be able to buy about a dozen different stocks.
Bath and Body Works.
Was that one of them?
Yeah, and that they've been like a store that's been known to be dying, so that's probably what it is.
Yep.
It's probably, although there's a lot more dying businesses out there than that.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they actually went on this Reddit thing and basically said, if it looks like these people are trying to manipulate a particular stock, we're gonna kill trading on
Well,
it.
the NASDAQ CEO yesterday was saying that they are, quote unquote, monitoring social media chatter about these sorts of things. So they definitely have some guys or whoever sitting in a room somewhere looking at this Reddit and just watching.
Yeah,
I've
seen pump and dump groups for crypto. I've seen Telegram groups for that, and never really participated. But it's
I'm not a believer
interesting to see.
Yeah, I support them. I'm not a believer necessarily in that whole strategy, but I think that what they're doing here is proven to be effective, at least right now, because these hedge fund managers don't know what to do about this. I mean, they've got these short sell bets that they've placed, and apparently there's a way that you can see them, because they were able to see that these shorts were there on these stocks. I don't know how all that works, but apparently you can just look and see, oh, look, there's all these short positions. And so you can buy up the shorted stocks and really screw these hedge funds over.
Yeah, I don't think you can see who holds short positions, but I think you can see the number of short positions that are out there as a percentage of the
per stock?
total market cap.
Yeah.
On each stock.
The article I was reading yesterday made it sound like they were able to identify who the short holders were. So I don't know if that's true. If you are a stock trading, guru and you know how this stuff works, you want to weigh in, let us know at 603-283-6160.
Well, they may be able to know that just from the prospectus of the hedge fund. Generally, a mutual fund, a hedge fund, anything like that publishes what it's doing, what it's in, so you know whether to buy it or not.
That makes sense.
Yeah, if somebody's reading the prospectus,
so they might have been looking at
know.
the hedge fund's own documentation to find out what they owned.
It's possible, yeah. I don't know what's available online in terms of that information.
They're very resourceful, this group. I mean, they there were 2-point-something million people in it when the article that we were reading yesterday had been written, and by the time we checked out the site last night, it was 3.6 million people in the group. So there were, another 50%, 75% growth in the membership of this Reddit group, which I believe is Wall Street Bets is the name of it, all one word. Let's go to James. He's in Michigan. James says he's been watching this carefully over the last some amount of time. Go ahead, James. What's up?
So yesterday I did manage to get some AMC on Robinhood, figuring that I missed the GameStop spike at 140. I guess I was wrong about that because it ended up hitting 400 last night.
Wow.
And then so I was watching Robinhood this morning. AMC was up to 19 plus overnight, and then as it got about 15 minutes to open this morning, I get a message from Robinhood saying that you couldn't buy anymore. You could only close your holdings. And
so does that
all
mean
of a
you
sudden
could get your cash
tanking.
out?
Oh, you can get your cash out. You can close it. In other words, you could only sell, you couldn't buy. So there's only one place for that stock to go at that point.
That's because they want to force. They want to force people into the selling position of this stock because they themselves, Robinhood, the company that apparently is at least part owner of Robinhood, is the very same hedge fund that held all of these short positions.
And
so as I was watching through the day, I was watching it like a soap opera. Apparently, there's 2 lawsuits already filed, one in New York and one in Chicago, claiming that they had vested interest in it, and it was like a class action lawsuit already filed by the end of the close of court today.
That's amazing.
The state is suing them?
No.
No, individuals.
Class action, that's a group of people.
Normally, I would say that Robinhood was safe from suits, but if there's really a conflict of interest there, then I would say that they could be in some deep trouble.
So as of 5:30 or 6 tonight, I got a message from Robinhood saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, we couldn't do that today. There was too much volatility. We couldn't allow that trading. But tomorrow we're going to allow some."
Really?
Yeah.
What does that mean? Are they
and
going
we may have to stop it if it gets too bad again, basically.
Well, when they say they're going to allow some trading, does that mean they're going to all of a sudden change to allow people to buy AMC or GameStop?
Yes, that's what it said.
Interesting.
Unless they deem there's some reason that they have to stop it again.
Which they already did today, so now they're reversing their position and they're saying, well, we reserve the right to reverse our position again.
Well, generally, whenever an exchange halts trading or even a brokerage, although it's rare for a brokerage to do it, I would expect to see that in place for a matter of hours, not a matter of days. Usually.
The other side of this, too, is it's not just Robinhood. It's basically all the consumer-grade trading sites.
So all of them are locking down GameStop, AMC, and Bed Bath or whatever, and these other ones.
As best I can tell, yeah.
So where are people buying? How are these purchases happening? Is it only the elite Wall Street traders that have access to it now to buy it?
It feels like it. I think if you still have a regular broker, you wouldn't have a problem.
You could do it. Okay.
If you're paying commissions and stuff. The thing about these sites is they sell your information, like all sites that are free.
Mm-hmm. Well, but even TD Ameritrade put out, sorry to interrupt, but even TD Ameritrade, which is a broker, as I understand it, they put out a notice yesterday restricting GameStop and AMC.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know how far it goes. I just know I was watching the soap. I have Reddit on there, and I've been following it on Twitter. And
there's got to be a thread on the Reddit somewhere, right? Like there's a thread. There must be a thread that says, here's where you can buy these stocks. Like where have these not been restricted, if anywhere?
I've seen one post that listed a couple, and I never heard of them kind of off the wall. Place. Who knows if they're overseas, right?
Yeah. It's interesting. I didn't know they had overseas traders in U.S. stocks. Is that a thing?
Oh yeah,
you can. Yeah, you can trade overseas yourself if you'd like. I'm sure that your know your customer steps up quite a level though.
Right, James. Anything else you want to share about what you observed today about this situation?
Yeah, there was one more letter that was interesting. That was kind of speculation, no proof, but apparently an employee of Robinhood was in on a meeting where they received several calls telling them they had to do this, including a call from the White House. So,
whoa.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, no way to prove that, of course. But
yeah, it's interesting that, Democrats are all about preventing people from trading,
So much for helping the little guy.
Yeah. I mean, you have to have something over $1 million in order to invest in a startup legally.
That's right. Yeah,
and that's one of the ways that they prevent poor people from getting rich.
James, thanks for the call tonight. I do appreciate your assessment of what's been going on. We do have information on this lawsuit. One of them, apparently, James says there are now 2. But one of the suits against Robinhood by a class action group saying that they should not have restricted GameStop and these other companies from being traded, as they have done. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160 if you want to weigh in. Of course, you can also bring up anything you want here on Free Talk Live. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish, in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. The LRN.FM's social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? None. They'd rather keep their clients in the dark. There are too many lawyer jokes to count. However, there are some lawyers with more noble intentions. At the Institute for Justice, we bring the light to our clients. We are a non-profit public interest law firm with clear values and principles. At IJ, we fight for those whose most basic rights are denied by the government. Visit our website today at ij.org.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live. The number here, if you want to join us, 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Still talking about the discussion we had in the first hour or so of the last night's show, which was this whole GameStop, Wall Street Bets, Reddit situation where individuals who've self-organized on a internet forum, which is what Reddit essentially is. They have managed to screw over some of the largest hedge funds in the United States.
Good for them.
Yeah, and Wall Street is not happy about it. The entirety, it almost seems like the entirety of the stock market system is clamping down in a very frightened manner. Like, oh my God, we didn't ever think that the little people would figure out how to work our system. And they have. And they've worked it to the point where they have made tremendous amounts of increases in the value of the GameStop prices that the GameStop stock prices that have been shooting up over the last month as this plan has been put into effect. So one of the things that they've done is these companies like Robinhood, these stock trading apps, have put in restrictions saying, well, nope, we're not going to let you buy any more GameStop or AMC theaters or various different other failing companies, because if you do, they think that their buddies in the hedge funds are going to lose even more billions, because they have lost billions of dollars already. Some are saying these hedge funds are now bankrupt as a result of this.
I'd be really curious to see if these Reddit boys were in the position to do a hostile takeover.
Of what?
Of GameStop.
Really?
Well, if you own enough of the stock, I mean, if they happen to have 50% plus, or can find some large shareholders who are friendly to them, then they could replace the board and
yeah, they could certainly
completely change the business model of the company.
Yeah, they could certainly replace board members, even if they don't have. Even if one of them doesn't have the majority, if enough of them have, sort of.
Oh yeah, they can just sign over proxies to each other and just have one guy go in there with all of their proxies. I don't know what the market cap of GameStop is.
I had no idea you could just become the owner of GameStop that way.
That's
well, ordinarily you can't unless you're Warren Buffett, but these guys apparently have organized very well. And yeah, if you get 1 million people together and they each kick in, $10,000, you can buy a small company that way.
Wow.
Yeah, and when the GameStop price was at $3 a share or whatever, bottom of the barrel price, it wouldn't be hard for your average investor to get in on this thing, right? And get a fair number of shares of this thing if they got in early on this. I don't know enough about how stocks work.
So it was $3 a share when they started?
No, I don't know what it was when they started, but I know it was lower than. So the news story we read last month said it went from 13 and change or something like that, or 18 or something like that, all the way up to 370 over the last 4 weeks. But I believe this began back in December, so it probably started when it was like $5 or $6 a share, because I know it was down in the basement. I mean, it was just doing terribly as a price. But what I don't know about public stock trading, I know the basic idea of a public stock is a private company can make itself go public at some point when they want to get extra funding from the public, right, to do their business. But then they have to open up to these things like letting average public members, come in and buy pieces of their company and then have a say, essentially have a vote in who gets on the board of directors, right?
Yeah, generally a very small say.
Well, that's my question is, when a company goes public, does it have to make all of its shares public, or is it like, can there still be a 51% owner and then they let the other 49% out to the public?
It's complex. You can issue different kinds of stock. You can issue preferred stock, and preferred stock does not come with voting rights, but preferred stock gets paid off first if the company goes bankrupt. And I think they get first crack at dividends as well, and they might have higher dividends, and that's to make it easier for the company to limit the decision making by
to the board of
shareholders.
Okay.
Not to the board of directors, but by holders of the common stock, which still has voting privileges.
So some companies have preferred and common stock?
Yes.
And do some just have common?
I don't know. I think you might. Yes, some definitely just have common, which would be only voting shares. I don't know if companies have to issue common shares before they can issue preferred shares. That I don't know.
But in theory, if GameStop has these common shares, then these guys could own a piece of they could actually have control over the board of directors, in theory.
Yeah, in theory, if they've bought half that company, and it sounds like, they've got a lot of market cap.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
So Robinhood is facing a class action lawsuit, according to Vice.com, after the micro-trading platform deliberately blocked users from trading GameStop as the stock capitulated in value. The news shows some nearly immediate impact to Robinhood after the snap decision. Quote, Robinhood purposefully, willfully, and knowingly removed the stock GME, which is GameStop, from its trading platform in the midst of an unprecedented stock, thereby deprived retail investors of the ability to invest in the open market and manipulating the open market, the class action complaint reads. Fox Business journalist Lydia Moynihan tweeted news of the class action earlier today. GameStop stock has skyrocketed after members of the Wall Street Bets subreddit have deliberately tried to push its price higher, as we've been discussing. Robinhood's move has brought together some unlikely allies. After Motherboard reported Robinhood's action against GameStop and other companies' stock, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweeted that, quote, this is unacceptable. We now need to know more about Robinhood's decision to block retail investors from purchasing stock while hedge funds are freely able to trade the stock as they see fit. As a member of the Financial Services Committee, I'd support a hearing if necessary. Then Senator Ted Cruz tweeted...
never said anything I agreed with before.
Well, and
that's
apparently...
actually kind of amazing.
Ted Cruz also
if only they would do gold and silver.
Yeah. Ted Cruz also agreed. So you've got both people on both sides of the aisle saying that Robinhood may have made a big mistake here.
Yeah, it smacks of unfairness. When NASDAQ shuts down trading in a stock, they shut it down for everybody. But although these brokerages are presumably doing this for all of their customers, they have very defined tranches of customers. The people who are studying, the people who are trading through Ameritrade and Robinhood are not the same people who are trading through Shearson Lehman Hutton or whoever. I don't think that company exists anymore. But so nobody's trading through them. But
So there's your latest on the Robinhood situation as it is continuing to develop with the GameStop and the Wall Street Bets. If you've been watching this closely, especially if you've been inside the Wall Street Bets Reddit, what have you been observing in there? What are they talking about? What are they saying is going to be their next step? Are they going to continue using this Reddit as their organizing focus, or are they going to move to a different platform? Because we've already heard that their Discord got shut down. Did you hear about that?
Well, welcome to the club, guys.
Yeah. Discord shut them down, but they claimed it didn't have anything to do with the content of stock trading. They said it was something about
violence.
Yeah, committing violence or whatever.
Well, the funny thing is, as we well know, if it wasn't a special case, Discord wouldn't have commented at all.
That's true.
Normally, they don't say why they shut you down.
Well,
so I would say that if they're saying, they're probably lying.
Yeah, there's a good chance. I mean, it's awfully strange that it happened at the exact same time as all the rest of this.
As Church Lady would say, well, isn't that convenient?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Now, I don't know if Discord is publicly traded, but it wouldn't surprise me if some of these hedge funds had a piece of Discord as well.
Quite possibly, or just the ear of somebody on their board. There's a lot of incestuous relationships throughout Wall Street.
Yeah.
After AOC tweeted that tweet you read today, Ted Cruz replied that he fully agrees, and she said to him, I'm happy to work with Republicans on this issue where there's common ground, but you almost had me murdered 3 weeks ago, so you can sit this one out.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, that's on Twitter.
She thinks the tourists were going to kill her while they're between selfies.
603-283.
Oh, I hope one day she learns what a real revolution looks like.
6160. That's 603-283-6160. And, of course, you can bring up anything you want. Take control of the airwaves here on Free Talk Live.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Bitcoin.com has launched a trading platform at local.bitcoin.com, allowing you to buy or sell Bitcoin Cash via dozens of payment methods like PayPal, Venmo, bank deposit, remittances, or meeting in person with cash. There are no ID requirements to sign up for and use the site, and all communications between buyers and sellers are encrypted. Finally, a global trading platform that respects your privacy. Visit local.bitcoin.com to get started trading Bitcoin Cash. local.bitcoin.com. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Not under consideration. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The White House says it won't break up a nearly $2 trillion coronavirus relief package that faces an uncertain future in Congress.
President Biden and White House economic officials are reaching out to Democrats and Republicans on a $1.9 trillion COVID relief proposal that would inject funding into vaccine distribution, schools, small business aid, and individual stimulus checks.
We're not going to put ourselves in a place or anyone in a place where we're choosing between helping families to put food on the table and making sure kids get back to school.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the president wants bipartisan support, but Democrats in Congress are beginning the process of budget reconciliation, a legislative tool that would eliminate a 60-vote threshold in the Senate, allowing it to pass with a simple majority. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
2 executive orders signed by President Biden today focusing on health care.
Of all times that we need to reinstate access to, affordability of, and extent of access to Medicaid is now, in the middle of this COVID crisis.
One order allows for a 3-month sign-up for healthcare.gov starting February 15th and reverses policies that exclude people with pre-existing conditions. The other expands access to reproductive health care for women. The House Financial Services Committee will hold a hearing on stock trading in GameStop and other stocks, which have been seeing big swings in recent days due to trading driven by social media. Chair Maxine Waters says the hearing will focus on short selling online trading platforms and their impact on capital markets. Ohio Republican Congressman Jim Jordan says he will not run for the Senate seat that will be vacated when fellow Republican Rob Portman leaves office in 2022. America is listening to Fox News.
Even in the new year, it's hard to start a new routine. But if you're one of the 34% of Americans who made a resolution to be less stressed, Headspace is here to help. Headspace is one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research and can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, and increase your overall sense of well-being. Go to headspace.com/Fox for a free 1-month trial. This is the best deal offered right now. Headspace.com/Fox.
A scathing report by New York's Attorney General on the number of COVID-related deaths at the state's nursing homes.
The 76-page report released by New York Attorney General Letitia James says Governor Andrew Cuomo's administration undercounted COVID-19 related deaths at the state's nursing homes by as much as 50%. The AG's survey of nursing homes found discrepancies between the number of deaths reported to investigators and the official count from the health department. The state is accused of making an accurate count of the nursing home deaths harder because they only counted the ones at facilities instead of those who were transferred to hospitals and died there. Governor Cuomo has also been criticized for forcing nursing homes to accept patients who had tested positive for the coronavirus. In New York, Tanya J. Powers, Fox News.
Apple is set to roll out a new privacy control this spring that will prevent iPhone apps from secretly shadowing people. The company has been talking about the feature for a while, but the privacy control has been delayed to give Facebook and other apps more time to adjust to a feature that will require iPhone users to give consent before apps can track them. President Biden's pick to lead the Housing and Urban Development Department called for more affordable housing at her confirmation hearing.
Ohio Representative Marcia Fudge told a Senate committee the pandemic has led to a housing emergency, with millions of Americans behind on rent and mortgage payments.
My first priority as secretary would be to alleviate that crisis and get people the support they need to come back from the edge.
Fudge called on the government to provide more help, saying the eviction moratorium.
If you're looking for work, the person you are applying to may be even more nervous than you are. And the way things are now, your references have never been more important. Here are 3 tips. First, know that employers are checking. Every hire is under the microscope these days. Second, they won't just be checking references you provide. Figure that all of your ex-employers will get a call and be asked, would you hire him or her again? Third, assume you will be Googled. So before you apply, remove all those party animal photos from your Facebook page. Even if you're not in the job market, effective communication skills have never been more important, with money and attention so scarce now. For more tips for job seekers and getting better results in all your day-to-day communication, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
A civilian casualty is flattered to have been mistaken for a Hamas leader, and an asexually reproduced sea sponge is worried she's turning into herself. This news summary is best enjoyed in a state of leisurely repose, so sit back, relax, and let the waves of condensed news gently lap at your brain. This is the Onion Week in Review. Hoping to foster a lifelong connection to the airline, Delta announced the launch of its official alumni magazine, Flown, this week, a quarterly publication for people who have been passengers with the airline at some point in the past. A press release from Delta confirmed that the magazine will feature obituaries, wedding announcements, and profiles of prominent flyers that celebrate the shared experiences and interests of the airline's 900 million alumni.
I think it's a nice thing for Delta to do. I mean, it's always interesting to just skim through an issue, see what the old boarding group's up to. It kind of makes me nostalgic for the few hours back when I was on that flight to Tampa. Simpler days.
This is the Onion News Network. Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. The number here is 603-283-6160. As we kick off the second hour of the program, of course, you can bring up what you want to discuss. According to a post on the Wall Street Bets Reddit, someone claiming now, whether this is true or not, I don't know. It's just a post on the internet, but it's interesting. It says that Google just deleted over 100,000 negative reviews of the Robinhood app from their app store. Now, why would Google...
I believe them.
Yeah, but why would Google be doing Robinhood's bidding in this particular case?
Well, because it's a great big club and you're not in it.
I see. Yeah.
They're all in the same club, and none of us will ever be in that club.
It's true. So if you want to weigh in here, you can. With you in the studio tonight, by the way, it's Ian.
Bonnie.
And nobody.
Coming up, I know, Bonnie, you wanted to talk about D.C. becoming the 51st state. We can get to that on the way
How about
here.
if it becomes the 50th state and they can have our spot?
Yeah, and that's definitely where I wanted to come from on it as well. We've certainly seen people talking about secession here in New Hampshire and Texas and California and elsewhere. So it would be nice if they didn't have to change the flag. They could just let one state go, and then D.C. can be a state at that point.
Yeah.
But I've got some other related stories here to money. This one I've been sitting on for a couple of weeks, and I think it's interesting. We're going to leave the United States here for a moment and go down to Argentina, down in South America, where the U.S. dollar has long been the most wanted foreign currency, according to CoinDesk.com. But these days, people can't stop talking about DAI. Do you guys know what DAI is?
No.
D-A-I?
I've held it a couple of times.
Okay, so what it is it is a stable coin that is based on the U.S. dollar's value. It is, but it is not a dollar-backed dollar stable coin. So what makes DAI interesting, and I'm not going to do a good job of explaining it because there's some intricacies that I can't really explain, but basically DAI is backed not by dollars like most stable coins, because for listeners that aren't familiar, most stable coins are cryptocurrency tokens that are physically backed by dollars in a bank account somewhere. So if you've ever heard of Tether is the number one stable coin. It's currently actually the
which
third.
Is arguably backed by dollars in a bank account somewhere.
Right. Now, whether they've been audited.
Allegedly.
Yeah, right. So whether they've been audited for that or not is another question. Or whether you believe the auditor is again another question. But supposedly, dollars exist in a bank account. DAI, on the other hand, is backed by cryptocurrency deposits that are sort of over-deposited. So I think it's like when they're minting new DAI, they require people to deposit either Bitcoin or Ethereum, for instance, and then they over-collateralize. That's the word I was looking for. They put in way more Bitcoin. So if they're going to mint $1,000 worth of DAI, they might have to put in, $2,000 worth of Bitcoin or something like that.
Which covers you so long as Bitcoin doesn't drop
crater.
By 50%.
Right. So that's how they're doing this, and there's more to it than that as far as like how they manage to balance all the pricing to where it stays at roughly $1's value. So anyway, in Argentina, that's what people are talking about. They're talking about this stablecoin, DAI, and DAI's volume has already grown at least sixfold in the year 2020, according to information provided by local crypto exchanges down there in Argentina, including Satoshi Tango, Decrypto, and Ripio. Argentines, faced with the devaluation of their peso from just 2 cents to 0.006 cents in just 18 months and an annual inflation rate higher than 30%, are looking for ways to safeguard their value. So we're seeing something similar in Argentina now as what we've seen in Venezuela and, of course, Zimbabwe and other countries that have had failing currencies where they just crank up the printing presses.
Oh, no, that's not it. They just have the cleverest speculators on earth. They know what the rest of us don't on how to make money on falling dollars.
No, it's printing.
I'm being brutally sarcastic.
It's printing. But as they are only permitted to buy, so Argentinians are only permitted to buy up to $200 per month through official channels with an additional tax of 65% over the official quote. Some Argentines are turning to stable coins like DAI. So I guess what they're saying is they're permitted only to buy $200. I see. Per month in dollars. Okay, so if they want to take their Argentinian pesos and convert them into U.S. dollars, they can only do up to $200 per month due to government currency restrictions.
Imagine thinking of the dollar as safety.
Mm-hmm.
God, that is so that's sad.
But it's the truth, nobody, and that's how.
I mean, compared to their pesos, sure,
right?
The dollar's as good as really crappy gold.
The adoption of DAI became popular because, being a stable coin and having a quotation linked to the U.S. dollar, many Argentines have decided to acquire it as an indirect form of dollarization, according to crypto exchange Wenbit in an email to CoinDesk. This is all taking place amid an overall crypto boom in Argentina, with crypto exchanges enjoying record growth in the year 2020. Sebastian Serrano, the CEO of Argentinian crypto exchange Ripio, told CoinDesk the exchange's stablecoin trading volume grew 20 times in the year 2020.
See, if they weren't economic morons in the Venezuelan government and they really wanted to stick it to the U.S., what they'd be doing is coming up here and giving us ways to escape the dollar into crypto without KYC.
Yeah. Well, they only want to do what's going to benefit them, and they have, as you point out, no economic intelligence whatsoever in Venezuela.
They're only going to do what they understand, because I mean, you and I have proven that can be profitable.
So, quote, "This is increasing month by month due to a local need for dollarization and a bullish crypto market promoting higher adoption." He said, "It's a perfect storm." According to CoinDesk, Argentina's obsession with U.S. dollars has grown stronger in recent decades, mainly driven by high inflationary processes that have pulverized their peso's value. Quote, "We have a relationship with the dollar that is typical of 70 years without a strong local currency, and DAI is an alternative to the dollar," says the CEO of Satoshi Tango, which is an exchange that started offering DAI in 2020 and increased by 7 its business in Argentina during this last year.
Wow.
So huge demand coming out of Argentina for this stablecoin. And as we've seen in Venezuela, if you look at the local Bitcoins numbers, Local Bitcoins is a website where people can buy and sell Bitcoins across the planet, usually somewhat directly to one another. Venezuela and Nigeria have been their 2 top countries as far as like per capita purchases of Bitcoin. There are tremendous volumes coming out of both of those countries. And, of course, Venezuela is... Did I say Argentina? Venezuela is what I meant to say.
Right.
But Argentina is also one of the top players at Local Bitcoins.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I like what Nigeria says about it, but...
Those people down there are doing a lot of Bitcoin down in Nigeria. You know, whether it's legit or not is another question. But
maybe they're just piling up money for their next generation of princes.
Some of them are. They're making new princes down there in Nigeria all the time with Bitcoin. But DAI is built on the Ethereum blockchain, and it is stabilized to the value of the U.S. dollar and pegged 1-to-1 via what is known as the Maker stablecoin system. The cryptocurrency collateral viewed publicly on the Ethereum blockchain keeps DAI's value stable, unlike other popular stablecoins whose value is backed directly by U.S. dollars. And the other interesting thing about DAI is, from what I've heard, now I'm not sure if this is 100% true, but from what I've heard, it's the only Ethereum stablecoin that does not have the ability for the central issuer to control the transactions. So if for instance, on, let's say I send you some Tether, and whoever it was that sent me the Tether goes to the Tether company and says, "Hey, I got scammed," or whatever, "take my Tether back." Or law enforcement goes to Tether and says, "Hey, take this Tether back from that person." They can undo it. They can centrally control and undo that transaction and bring it back. Now, how many levels they can do it for, I don't know, but they can do an undo on Tether and a lot of these other Ethereum-based stablecoins. But DAI, supposedly, they can't do that with. There's more coming up here. 603-283-6160.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org. Freedom! Freedom is the call of the untamed Scotsman and all others that want to feel the wind under their kilts.
At Free Talk Live, we love the breezy, swinging feeling that only a kilt from Sport Kilt can give.
We teamed up with Sport Kilt to let you experience their form of freedom at a discount. Go to kilts.freetalklive.com and see a picture of Richie and me in our kilts.
And then head over to sportkilt.com. Get some stylish freedom for yourself and use code FTL for a 10% discount. Sportkilt.com.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by T.J. Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Free Talk Live.
There's been all kinds of immigrants coming from all kinds of places, living in little enclaves, speaking their native tongue. Their kids, they learn English, and then their kids, they don't even know their native tongue.
Right.
So see,
that's
Trish,
what's gonna happen.
what he's explaining to you, Trish, is that this is a natural process. When you let people come here, they naturally want to learn English.
What kind of lawbreaking to put our lives in danger?
Wait, what lawbreaking are you talking about, Trish?
Sir, do you understand?
What
in
lawbreaking
some
are you referring to,
people can't
Trish?
leave their dogs out because these people will eat them? Do you
are outrageous.
We forgot the part. It was just lepers, and now it's murdering, raping, dog-eating lepers.
Amazing. I mean, what else can you say to this?
It's just
this is outrageous.
Trish, you are putting the J in jingoist.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
Yep, it is Free Talk Live. The number is 603-283-6160. If you want to join us, that's 603-283-6160. We started talking about the whole stock market situation with GameStop and some of these other companies that may be being bought up by Wall Street Bets, which is a Reddit community. Now, it does appear that the Reddit group is maybe likely going to be under some amount of threat, given that they've already had their Discord deleted. So apparently some of the Wall Street guys, or the Wall Street Bets group, has gone to their own website, which is wsbets.win, and this is according to Singularity, who posted the link in our Matrix chat. Now, if you want to get in the Free Talk Live Matrix server, you can go to chat.freetalklive.com. And that'll give you the step-by-step instructions on how to get onto that server, and you can interact with other Free Talk Live listeners there. Joining you in the studio tonight here, it's Ian.
Bonnie.
Nobody.
And I want to say thanks to the guys over at AnyPay for being supporters here at Free Talk Live, and we're big fans of AnyPay. because every single day I'm pretty much in the community here in Keene, New Hampshire, and I'm using AnyPay to buy a meal or to buy some other service like getting my car fixed. And AnyPay makes that so easy with their AnyPay 2.0. If you've got the right wallets, at least if you're using Edge Wallet, you're all set. Also, Bitcoin.com's wallet works great with AnyPay 2.0. Dash Wallet and Handcash, all totally compatible. But then there's some other wallets like Coinomi that unfortunately don't work at all. And Exodus Wallet also doesn't work, plus RelayX and Bread Wallet. So if you are a user of Coinomi, Exodus, RelayX, Bread, or any other wallet that sadly is not compatible with AnyPay 2.0, there are instructions on how you can reach out to those companies and those programmers over at anypayinc.com/upgrade. And we certainly would appreciate it if you would help make the crypto marketplace better by asking these companies to, nicely add AnyPay support, or rather Pay Protocol support, which is all explained to you over at anypayinc.com/upgrade, anypayinc.com/upgrade. As we continue here, we were discussing some more money-related stuff, and then on the way we'll talk about D.C. possibly becoming the 51st state. But the news here out of Coindesk.com is about Argentina, where they've seen tremendous inflation in the Argentinian peso in recent years. In fact, they say that inflation is up to about 30% annually in the Argentinian peso, and that is not a good thing. It is, as you know, the inflation of the money supply takes value out of the hands of the holders of that money. So anybody that has had savings in the Argentinian peso has seen their savings just wasting away. Yeah, you still have the same amount of pesos, but they don't buy what they used to buy. So that's...
You're better off buying coconuts and leaving them sitting outside your door.
Right, or in this case, they're buying the DAI stable coins now, because now they don't have to
Easier to store than coconuts.
Yep, and they don't go bad. Or at least in theory. Now, will DAI have an implosion and completely fail? I mean, I suppose that's a possibility.
It could die.
Yeah, but the people of Argentina are betting that DAI is going to be more stable than the Argentinian peso, and so far, history has proven them correct on that. So, although many stablecoins have grown in Argentina, DAI has been a star in the local market, and that success, according to important crypto players such as local exchanges in Argentina, are partially explained by the early relationship that the company or the organization behind DAI, which is called MakerDAO, so it's not really a company. What DAO stands for is Decentralized Autonomous Organization. So this is a group of people that is brought together by this cryptocurrency, essentially, and they've come together for a common purpose, but it's not like a board of directors or your traditional kind of company organization.
Mm-hmm.
Buenbit started offering DAI in November of 2018. Now, this is one of the local exchanges there in Argentina, when Ripio also included the same stablecoin while it added USDC in August of this year. Now, USDC is one of those centrally managed dollar-backed stablecoins. It's run by, I believe, Coinbase and Circle, and I think they're the second largest. So Tether is the number one, and then USDC is, I believe, the number two stablecoin by market cap. Mariano de Pietrantonio, senior marketing manager, lead for the Maker Foundation, the foundation behind DAI, says, quote, "This world was always closer to trading and short-term speculation, but we position DAI as a savings tool, a more down-to-earth proposal," he said. In Argentina, crypto exchange Bitso recorded a trading volume of 2.3 million DAI during the month of November, while its Mexican business, where the company holds 10 times more clients, only counted 883,000 DAI during the same month. So even though the Mexican version has 10 times the customer base, the Argentinians did more than 2 times the business in DAI.
Wow, and it's not because the Argentina's floating in money, or Venezuela. Is it Argentina?
We're talking about Argentina.
Or Venezuela?
Yeah, we're talking about Argentina. Now, Venezuela is suffering even greater losses of their currency, the bolivar.
True.
So this is just another Venezuela in the making. Basically, the Argentinian peso is in also a decline.
I wonder if any of these companies or countries will ever see the light and just say, we're going to stop issuing currency and we're going to let people use
just let the market decide
something else. I think it's Costa Rica or Ecuador. One of those companies or one of those countries does very well just using dollars, and they don't have. They're not printing dollars, so they don't even have the level of dollar inflation that we have.
I'm always wondering with Venezuela, if their bolivar is so worthless, how is the government even doing well? Wouldn't the government want to be doing something where they're doing really well, even if the people are doing bad? But if their bolivar just sucks, then
they're not doing so well in a lot of cases. I mean, the strong man who's in charge of Venezuela, the so-called president there.
If he was stronger, he'd be able to hold that currency up.
Nicolas Maduro, he's having enough trouble holding his belt up. He's very well fed. So he's taken care of. But some of the men in the military, as of just a couple of years ago, were like kidnapping goats and slaughtering them so they could have something to eat. So they're even having a tough time paying their own military members and keeping them fed.
There was a scandal down there because during some broadcast he was doing, he pulled out like a burrito out of his desk and started eating, and this was like a national scandal because everybody was like, "Don't eat in front of us, we're
they're
hungry."
Yeah, he did that.
But why would that be better than just having a really, really booming economy? That's what I don't understand. Like, what does the government get out of that? Like,
what they get out of it is all of they're the ones who are printing these bolivars. I mean,
they're not. They're hiring a company to print. In Venezuela, they hire a private company.
Well, true, but when that company delivers the currency, they deliver it to the government.
The government, right?
And then the government can give it to whoever they want. So, even if your counterfeit is only worth 10 cents on the dollar, you're still getting the whole 10 cents.
Sure, but I mean, Bonnie, you do ask a larger question of why don't they want a booming economy? Why do they want to do this, socialist insanity? And that's a much larger question. We can address that coming up here. It's Free Talk Live. Is spreading the message of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace around the globe worth $2 per month to you? As you may already know, in addition to our internet feed, LRN.FM broadcasts on free-to-air satellite across North and Central America, as well as Sub-Saharan Africa. And we've been available on satellite for free 24/7 since 2010. The LRN.FM free-to-air satellite signal is reaching some of the most oppressive regimes in the world, and there's no doubt our ideas are making an impact. You can learn more about the channel's impact by watching the 3-minute video at fund.lrn.fm. If you'd like to help free minds globally with our ideas of liberty, cryptocurrency, and peace, you can donate as little as $2 per month via fund.lrn.fm. You can help us continue and expand our satellite broadcast to multiple continents. Visit fund.lrn.fm today, and thank you for your help. Don't forget to share the link on social media. That's fund.lrn.fm.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring signs into the rally.
Walk with me. Well, I'm comfortable here, actually. Whoa. Hey. Who do you think you are? Excuse me.
There is no video or audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today.
You ain't going to make it.
Wait a minute.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable!
Why are you running from me? Because you're scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live. You can bring up what you want here. We're talking about bad money. In this case, specifically fiat currency. Not just the U.S. dollar, but the even worse ones, like the Argentinian peso and Venezuela. Its terrible bolivar, which is now in its third iteration as the Bolivar Soberano, which means the sovereign bolivar, which replaced the Bolivar Fuerte, which means the strong bolivar, which replaced the bolivar.
Which wasn't as strong as they made out.
No. And with you in the studio tonight, it is Ian.
Bonnie.
Nobody.
And Bonnie, you asked a really interesting question about, like, well, why is Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela and the Argentinian government, why do they keep doing this, just debasing of their own economy when they could enjoy the wealth of a more free marketplace? They are instead more interested in this crazy socialist plan that has just resulted in abject poverty in the streets, hungry people.
I think they call it modern monetary theory now.
Okay. But why? The question is, why would somebody make this choice? Is it just because they are so bought in to their socialist belief system that they just can't see any other way?
Is it mental illness?
Yeah.
It could be.
Could be.
Yeah.
Well, they say insanity is repeating the same behavior
thing over and over.
Expecting different results.
Right, and this has been tried before. This is the same old situation, and we know how it works out. It works out poorly for the average person, and it works out poorly for everybody. Actually, the poor certainly suffer the most. Obviously, the wealthy are probably still going to be able to find food to put on their plates, but their wealth goes down dramatically as well because there's just not as much of it around. Period.
Yeah, but even the rich average person there, it's not their fault, it is the government's fault. That's why I'm just wondering, why does the government want to not even be the richest government in the world?
Yeah, it's my theory has always been the guano loco.
What is that?
The bat S?
Yes.
Yeah. Guano is Spanish for bat S.
It's true.
Yeah.
The
Bat
bat
S.
droppings. Bat spore.
Crazy? So you're saying they're crazy?
Yes.
Well, okay, let's look at it from this perspective. These people got into the positions of power they got into by advertising socialism to the people, right? They're the people of a lot of these countries. They believe in socialism. When you look at the opposition of
still somehow,
yeah. Well, usually when socialism fails, the other socialists say it's because of X, Y, or Z, not because socialism is a bad idea, but because the implementation in this case was failed, was a bad implementation.
It wasn't real socialism,
right? Right. And so they say, well, if you elect me, as your dear leader, then it will be true socialism, and we will lead everyone into the socialist future of whatever it is they think that's going to be.
Something other than starvation.
Yeah, some sort of, fake equality system being forced down everyone's throats. And so because people believe in socialism, these guys would be at risk if they didn't keep pimping socialism. I mean, if Nicolas Maduro got into office and then all of a sudden changed into a free market activist or whatever, then would he be able to stay in office for very long after that?
Yeah, and the reason that they see one of the issues with socialists is they have this belief in the magical power of money, that if we can just hand out dollars or hand out bolivars or hand out pesos, we can make everybody rich because it's just money, right? And they don't understand that money is as Adam Smith wrote in Wealth of Nations, it is not for his money that the laborer labors, but for his money's worth, for the things that he's going to buy with that money. And of course, if you're not producing anything and you're just handing out money, there's nothing to buy.
Yeah, that's a good point. So they also have a fundamental failure when it comes to understanding the value of money and what money really represents. So if they don't understand that, then they'll never be able to really fix their problems.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they mistake the map for the territory.
Yeah, but are we talking about the people or the government?
We're talking about the government.
The government mostly.
The government, but the people are ignorant enough to fall for it over and over again.
Now we're starting to see that the people who are able to wake up now, thanks to cryptocurrency, are able to escape this, right? So, and so this is one of the things where Dash, the Dash cryptocurrency, say what you want about Dash. I've got my critiques of it, but as far as its strengths, is they did some amazing work down in Venezuela. They would rent out a hotel room, like one of the presentation rooms, and they'd bring people in there and give them free Dash wallets and give them a little bit of Dash and, give them a rundown on cryptocurrency and, what makes the blockchain special and give them the basics, right? Like basically do a Bitcoin 101, but for Dash and promote Dash as sort of alternative to the Bolivar that can hold value better. Because pretty much any cryptocurrency can hold value better than the Bolivar. So, even though crypto is volatile, it's not as bad as, because crypto goes up and down, whereas the Bolivar just goes down. And so Dash did some amazing outreach in Venezuela, and that's the reason why Caracas may be the #1 city in the world per capita. It may even be better than Keene, New Hampshire.
Wow.
As far as, there have been stories.
You're not thinking of moving, are you?
No. Burger King, for instance, I believe, is one of the chains that has adopted cryptocurrency payments down there in Venezuela. Yeah, and that's old news. That's like from 2019 or something like that. So, I mean, a lot of this stuff has been going on there for years. I wonder if
that's the Burger King Corporation or if they have franchisees.
Yeah, I think
who did it.
I think it's a franchisee.
Okay, that makes sense.
But the point is, they implemented not just Dash, but multiple cryptos. So you can spend Bitcoin Cash down there, Dash, and other cryptocurrencies at the point of sale at the Burger King, menu system where you punch in your order. You can pay for it right there with crypto, from what I understand.
You got to send Derek down there to pimp AnyPay.
Yeah, that's a good point. In fact, he's got a guy. There's actually an AnyPay guy that does that down there, from what I understand. So now we're seeing the same thing happening in Argentina, or rather Argentina.
Don't cry for me, Argentina.
Purchase where people are buying the DAI stablecoin, which is a dollar-based dollar. I don't know if you can call it dollar-based because it's not actually backed by dollars, but it's priced at the dollar, backed by other cryptocurrencies.
So I guess if it does go the way of the Bolivar, they're going to have to come out with the Die Hard next.
Maybe they could get Bruce Willis to shill for it.
Yeah. Duro de matar.
Argentines, according to CoinDesk, have reasons to distrust the traditional money system. In 2001, through a process known as corralito, dollar accounts were frozen and part of the money was returned in local pesos after a strong devaluation.
Corralito means jacking.
Is that right?
No.
Oh, okay. It wouldn't surprise me.
Well, it does now.
Yeah. I knew somebody, one of the girls I met down at Acapulco, at the Anarchapulco event, she was from Argentina. And when she was a little girl, it was 2001 when they were going through this, and they literally froze people's banking accounts and gave them a haircut or something like that. They just took a ton of money from people right off the top of what they had.
Taking a lesson out of FDR's book there.
Not surprisingly.
Jacking the gold.
According to the National Institute of Statistics and Consensus of the Argentine Republic, of the $228 billion that locals keep in foreign currency, only 8% of it is banked. So
don't blame them.
That's because they learned their lesson.
Yeah.
In 2001, you keep the money out of the banks. You keep it in your safe or under the mattress or anywhere else besides in a bank account. So if you want to weigh in here on currency devaluation in South America or elsewhere, you're welcome to join us at 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Plus, we can talk about Washington, D.C. may becoming the 51st state. That's in the news. And Kim.com is weighing in. Since we're talking about money tonight, he's weighing in on the favor of Bitcoin Cash. If you know who Kim.com is, we'll tell you about him coming up. I'm grateful to have heard from some of our satellite listeners recently. I appreciate knowing that people are out there who like what we do and are willing to support it financially. LRN.FM's free-to-air satellite feeds blanket most of 2 continents. It was my goal to put our channel there so people without internet could receive our programs and feed pirate radio stations. We started a fundraiser on Patreon a few years ago to back the satellite channels. I recently announced that I was considering canceling the feeds, and donations increased from 15 to 20% of our costs, which are around $1,000 per month. That's a good start, and to incentivize more contributions, the Shire Free Church will be matching every dollar. Can we reach $500 per month? With your help, we can. You can join our satellite fundraiser for just $2 a month at fund.lrn.fm. If we raise enough to keep both of the channels on the air, awesome. If we raise more, I'll add more channels. If not, we can shut them down and go internet only. It's up to you. Thank you for your support. fund.lrn.fm.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in Liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get 1 free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Bitcoin.com is the best source for learning about cryptocurrency. Go there now, click on Get Started at the top of the page. Once you do that, you'll find a cornucopia of information, neatly organized for your needs. If you're a knowledgeable crypto user, check out news.bitcoin.com where you can get the latest headlines. Bitcoin.com is your source for buying cryptocurrency, getting a wallet app, mining, trading, and all the latest cryptocurrency news, all on a slick and easy-to-use website. All put together by the best minds in the business to teach you about cryptocurrency. Bitcoin.com.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live. The number here is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. We're talking about money, good and bad. We're talking about the bad, which is the fiat currencies of the world, which is just a ranking of bad, because they're all bad. Just some of them are worse and being debased faster than others. The Argentinian peso is one example of that. And
well, it's a bad lot if the U.S. dollar is best of
top
breed.
Dog, yeah. Exactly.
Even after 2020?
Yeah, I mean, it's still, I don't know. Is there something out there that's better than the dollar? Euro, maybe? Is the euro actually doing better than the dollar?
I don't
Because don't you get more euros for a dollar? Or don't you get less dollars? I forget.
I think it's about $2 or €2 to a dollar or some, or I'm sorry, $2 to a euro, but it's been at that price.
Doesn't
forever.
That mean the euro is stronger than the dollar? If you can get more dollars,
really, because it's the rate of change that matters, and they've been locked in that. They've been locked in that relationship forever. I don't think they're very volatile at all against each other.
But if you can buy more, if you can take euros and get more dollars for your euros, doesn't that by definition mean that the euro is stronger than the dollar?
Well, if it's €2 to a dollar, or
it's
$2,
$1.2 to each euro.
Okay, well,
so you trade in €1, you get $1.2.
It was actually higher than that. It was like $2
to each euro.
To a euro a few years ago, but that doesn't really tell the tale, because if it was $2 to a euro 10 years ago and it was $2 to a euro now, that would mean that the euro is losing value at the same rate as the dollar.
Oh yeah, no doubt. They're all
so
cranking
the euro,
them out.
It sounds like, is actually losing value slightly faster than
I see
the
what
dollar.
you mean. So in Argentina, they have been just, ravaged by their government's monetary policy over the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. And we just pointed out that based on what happened to them in the year 2001, where their dollar accounts were frozen and part of the money returned in pesos after a strong devaluation, so they just jacked a bunch of money from the people that held bank accounts back then.
Now, are we in Argentina?
We're in Argentina.
Venezuela now?
This is Argentina.
Okay.
In Venezuela, you cannot legally trade the Venezuelan bolivar for dollar.
Right.
You can't. So in Argentina, you can trade the peso for the dollar, but only up to $200 worth per month. In Venezuela, you can't even do that. In Venezuela, if you want dollars, you have to get them on the black market.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing they have changed in Venezuela is last year they started to unofficially look the other way at people pricing in dollars. So it used to be that you could not price things in dollars, you could not legally accept dollars for goods, but now almost everyone in Venezuela has a dollar price and a bolivar price, and some places are only advertising their dollar price, and they are accepting dollars. It's just they can't take them to the bank, and they can't do anything with them except for trade them on the black market, which is fine because there's plenty of people that are willing to do that on the black market, from what I understand.
Wow.
So it's a crazy situation. So to go back to what's happening in Argentina, where because of this limitation that the government has imposed on the people of Argentina, saying, you got Argentinian pesos, they're going down in value, we'll let you trade those pesos, but only up to $200 worth per month for dollars. Well, they're saying, well, we need more than $200 worth per month, so they're going to the crypto exchanges, and they're trading their pesos there for the DAI stablecoin, which is a dollar stablecoin.
So is DAI a stable coin?
It is.
Or is it growing in value? Because
it's a stable coin backed by cryptocurrencies instead of backed by dollars.
Okay, because it sounded like it was growing in value.
It is not.
Over time. Okay.
Nope. The backings may be growing in value over time, but the DAI themselves are not. Now, from what I understand, there's some way to make an interest rate by doing whatever back-end stuff that they have available with DAI. So there's some interesting mechanisms that are behind the scenes that help keep the price where it is, that help to keep the price of DAI at about $1. And it's too complex for me to recall. It's something that is worthy of a look at. Like if you're interested in things like stablecoins, this is one.
I'd definitely like to get some income from my crypto without necessarily parting with my crypto and going into something else. So it sounds like this offers some
sort of
opportunity like that.
Purchases of DAI and other cryptocurrencies occur most strongly during the first 10 days of each month, when Argentinians collect their salaries in pesos and seek to dollarize their incomes as soon as possible, according to one of the people from the exchanges. They said that transactions at a decrypto exchange, whether purchases or sales, usually fluctuate between $200 and $400, according to private information provided by the company. Individuals aren't the only ones interested in DAI. The partner at the financial and crypto consulting firm BX said in an interview that he's receiving higher quantity of inquiries from companies also seeking to enter the DAI ecosystem, given the constant obstacles to acquiring dollars in the official market. Many questions come particularly from small and medium-sized firms looking for a reserve of value for their surpluses and needing to execute payments abroad.
And of course, best thing for them to do is just accept it and trade.
Sure.
Then they don't have to pay anybody. They don't have to go through KYC. Nobody knows they have it.
Well, one of the biggest problems, though, with using Ethereum-based cryptocurrencies is the ridiculous fees. And we were actually talking about this at tonight's crypto meetup here in Keene. There was a guy there who was kind of new into the whole token situation. He had some questions about, where do you mint a token? Do you do it on the Ethereum blockchain? And I suggested that he take a look at Ravencoin and he take a look at Stellar as alternatives to doing it on Ethereum, because when you do these things on the Ethereum blockchain, then you have to pay the Ethereum fees. And the Ethereum fees right now are very expensive. I mean, Bitcoin fees are bad. Ethereum fees are about as bad as Bitcoin fees. Yeah, I've done Ethereum transactions recently and have paid $5 to $10 or $12 for an Ethereum transaction.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
So if you're going to go buy a hamburger at Burger King, in Venezuela or Argentina or whatever, you're not going to want to pay another $5 on top.
You're going to have to buy the whole cow.
Yeah. So, that just doesn't play for the average sort of retail user of a cryptocurrency stablecoin. What we need to have is something like, Stellar, where the fees are very, very low all the time, at least from what I've seen.
Now, would BCH be an appropriate... it requires a smart contract?
No, BCH has tokens, so they could totally be on BCH.
I know they have tokens, but I'm wondering if DAI is implemented as a smart contract.
There is some smart contracting going on with DAI, so yeah, it's a good question on that.
Yeah, you'd have to see if
I think
BCH would be up to the task.
Yeah, I don't know what level of smart contracting they've added to BCH, but I think there's some, if not some, on the horizon.
What is smart contracting?
That's a good question. It is a way to, at least with the Ethereum blockchain, what makes Ethereum different from Bitcoin fundamentally is that Ethereum is sort of a decentralized processor for computer commands, and these commands are issued by these contracts. And the contracts are written by programmers, and the programmers, well, sometimes they put accidentally bugs into these contracts, and those the contracts have not been very solid, and that has resulted in people that are like really smart programmers looking at the contracts and finding the bugs and then exploiting them and just jacking a whole bunch of Ethereum through the system. And,
that sounds like fun.
Yeah, and making a ton of money. In fact, that's where Ethereum had its first chain fork back in the day, when Ethereum split to Ethereum and then what's now called Ethereum Classic. What had happened was the very first ever decentralized autonomous organization that had come out. It made a whole bunch of news. It was everywhere. I put like $100 into it at the time, and their contract was messed up. And somebody found this flaw in the contract and like made $5 million worth of Ethereum exit the contract into their own wallet, or something like that. It was a lot of money. And so the Ethereum programmers decided, or the miners or whoever it was, somebody decided, we're going to undo this person taking the money out of this DAO, out of this organization. And the people who disagreed with them undoing that went forward as Ethereum Classic, and they forked the coin into two different Ethereums. So
interesting.
So the Ethereum, the one that's more valuable, is the one that actually went back in time and undid the heist, so to speak, even though that's something that has never happened with Bitcoin, and a lot of people are against going back and undoing somebody's mistakes like that.
Yeah, I mean, we could have undone Mt. Gox. I'm kind of glad we didn't.
No, I think it's good to just keep going forward. People make mistakes, and they should have to pay the price of making those mistakes. But they decided differently. 603-283-6160. You can join us. Coming up here, the 51st state. Will it be Washington, D.C.? You can also weigh in on whatever you want on Free Talk Live.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to DivvyProject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from DivvyProject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. DivvyProject.org. DIVI Project.org.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Under the microscope, I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. A congressional committee taking a closer look at recent wild swings on Wall Street, brought on in part by a buying blitz of GameStop.
California Democrat Maxine Waters, the chair of the House Financial Services Committee, has announced an investigation of hedge funds practices as a result of market instability. Several day trading apps blocked stock trades of GameStop and other companies following an internet-driven campaign to drive up stock prices. Waters says her hearing will examine GameStop and other impacted stocks with a focus on short selling, online trading platforms, and market manipulation. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki says the president's economic team, including Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, are monitoring the stock price spikes. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Two more executive orders from President Biden today, these involving health care. One would open the website healthcare.gov for 3 months beginning February 15th and reverses policies that exclude people with pre-existing conditions. The other expands access to reproductive care for women. The White House expressing outrage over the decision by judicial officials in Pakistan to release a man convicted in connection with the murder of Wall Street Journal reporter Daniel Pearl in Pakistan in 2002.
We're committed to securing justice for Daniel Pearl's family and holding terrorists anywhere accountable for their heinous crimes.
White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, Secretary of State Antony Blinken said in a statement the U.S. is ready to prosecute Ahmed Omar Saeed's Sheikh. He was convicted of luring Pearl to Karachi while he was researching a story when he was kidnapped and beheaded. Groundbreaking actress Cicely Tyson, who was nominated for an Academy Award for her role as a sharecropper's wife in the 1972 film Sounder and who won a Tony in 2013 at age 88, has died. She was 96. America is listening to Fox News.
Even in the new year, it's hard to start a new routine. But if you're one of the 34% of Americans who made a resolution to be less stressed, Headspace is here to help. Headspace is one of the only meditation apps advancing the field of mindfulness and meditation through clinically validated research and can reduce stress, improve sleep, boost focus, and increase your overall sense of well-being. Go to headspace.com/Fox for a free 1-month trial. This is the best deal offered right now. Headspace.com/Fox.
Some of the police officers involved in the shooting of a black man in Wisconsin are back on the job.
2 of 3 Kenosha police officers are off administrative leave and back on duty following the August shooting of Jacob Blake, after Kenosha County Prosecutor Michael Gravely announced earlier this month.
No Kenosha law enforcement officer in this case will be charged with any criminal offense based on the facts.
Saying that Blake, the subject of a 911 call, who was wanted on a felony warrant, who was armed with a knife, and who resisted arrest himself, could have prevented the incident. Blake, now paralyzed, the shooting led to riots in Kenosha. The officer who shot him remains on paid leave pending completion of a Kenosha police review of his use of deadly force. Jeff Manasso, Fox News.
Kansas is shutting down its unemployment system to deal with thousands of bogus claims.
People out of work will face a delay in receiving their unemployment checks.
People don't have the resources they've had.
Ron Williams from Lawrence is concerned.
There's thousands of Kansans that are affected by this.
Governor Lori Kelly explains the timeline as officials install new anti-fraud protections.
We will not be paying out claims for PUA, the federal, or for our usual unemployment until we reopen on Tuesday.
Kelly says the fix really is going to be an enhanced verification process. State officials believe Kansas is seeing a wave of fraudulent claims because it asks for limited information to verify a person's identity. CJ Papa, Fox News.
Chicago.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
The Subway restaurant chain has reacted with shock this week after executives discovered that many customers are apparently purchasing footlong sandwiches and eating the entire 12 inches by themselves. A spokesperson for the company addressed reporters this morning.
This is not how our products are intended to be consumed. Our footlong subs have always been meant to be shared among 2 or more friends. Eating an entire foot of food shouldn't be possible for most people, but they've been doing it somehow, and it needs to stop.
To encourage healthier eating habits, Subway is clarifying its marketing, adjusting language on menus and in television commercials like this one.
$5 footlongs? Wow, that's $2.50 per person.
Subway's corporate leadership says they were horrified to learn of the misunderstanding.
It's frightening. I mean, you don't see people eating entire pizzas by themselves. We even cut the footlongs in half into 2 regular-sized sandwiches before handing them to you. But I guess that wasn't clear enough.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live, and you can take control of the airwaves here. Bring up whatever's on your mind. Our number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. And you can join us there. You can also join our Matrix chat server. Just go to chat.freetalklive.com. That'll take you to step-by-step instructions on how to get involved in that chat server. And then you can interact with other Free Talk Live listeners. They are in there basically around the clock. So please enjoy that feature. We've got a lot of cool features over at freetalklive.com. It's Ian, Bonnie, and nobody is in the studio here tonight. We've been talking about, over the last 2 nights, some money-related stuff here on Free Talk Live. But of course, we will talk about absolutely anything that you want to discuss. And coming up tonight, Bonnie wanted to talk about the Washington, D.C. becoming the 51st state. We are going to get to that, I promise, coming up here in a bit. But I did just want to finish up this story about Argentina and what's been going on there with their interest in cryptocurrency now, which is what having a dollar, well, having a fiat currency that is being devalued leads people to look for other options. And historically, their other options have been to go for other fiat currencies that are not devaluing as quickly, right? So going into the dollar. So an example of that is after Zimbabwe took their quote-unquote dollar, the Zimbabwe dollar, and inflated the hell out of that to the point where, 10 trillion Zimbabwe dollars wouldn't buy you a loaf of bread. They finally got rid of that and officially went to just using the U.S. dollar.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, we're seeing that happening elsewhere, either officially, like in Argentina, where you can still buy dollars legally up to $200 per month, or in Venezuela, where it's sort of unofficial that anyone can do business in the dollar now because it's the only way to stop their people from starving to death. To, again, in Argentina, where we're focused on this story from Coindesk.com, people want more than $200 worth per month of dollars, but the government won't allow them to legally purchase them, so they're just purchasing stable coins instead. Now, for listeners that aren't familiar, a stable coin is a cryptocurrency token. And a token it's sort of this thing that exists, it's this digital thing that exists on another cryptocurrency. So in this case, the DAI stablecoin, which is based on the dollar, exists on the cryptocurrency known as Ethereum, and Ethereum has a bunch of different tokens that exist on its blockchain. And anybody who wants to can go and start their own cryptocurrency token. You could go and make Coconut Coin, if you wanted, Bonnie, over at the Ethereum blockchain. You could issue...
Coconut is my dog.
That's right. You could issue 1 million Coconut tokens, or you could issue only 1,000 of them, or you could issue 1 billion of them, and then you could trade them on the Ethereum blockchain as long as you paid whatever the trading costs were to send them around.
So is the... Wait, what is the country again?
Argentina.
So is the Argentinian government, are the government goons there going after crypto, like our government goons are going after crypto?
That's an excellent question, and I don't have an answer for you because I haven't looked deeply into Argentina. This is actually the first story I've read in quite a while about what's been going on there. So let's just keep going with the story, and if somebody knows the answer to that question, feel free to call in at 603-283-6160, because I can answer for Venezuela, where they have absolutely raided people's homes for doing Bitcoin mining.
Wow.
Now, the reason they do it in Venezuela is because the power company is government run, and it's subsidized. So when you get a power bill in Venezuela, you're not actually paying the actual cost of that power. You're paying a subsidized cost, which means you're paying less than what you would normally pay. So the government sees using their power, because you're using the government's power at a lowered cost, an artificially low cost,
to run your computer, which is mining.
to run the mining computer. So then you get all the Bitcoin from that. It's like they see it as stealing. And so that's what they come after the Bitcoin miners for there.
Stealing their hard-earned, stolen tax dollars.
Yeah, exactly. So 603-283-6160 if you want to weigh in here. According to Ivan Tello, the co-founder of the crypto exchange Decrypto in Argentina, the Argentines started buying Dai with pesos and then immediately exchanged them into dollars to save the money in their houses. Save the money in their houses. Okay. So they exchanged Dai into dollars. And that type of saving in Argentina is known as colchón, the Spanish word for mattress, by referring to the common place where they keep their bills. However, over this year, users began to leave their Dai in exchanges, said Tello. The economic crisis, and by the way, this was written in the end of 2020. So this was written in December of 2020. The economic crisis in Argentina led Argentines to trust the crypto system and to mistrust the traditional system. Argentines have reasons to distrust the traditional system. As we discussed earlier, the Argentinian government jacked a bunch of money out of people's bank accounts back in 2001, and they learned their lesson. They don't put money in their banks unless it's the absolute minimum that they need to pay a bill or something like that. And Americans haven't learned this lesson yet. Americans, in our lifetimes have not had the kind of economic crisis that the Argentinian people have had to deal with. So Americans still trust banks. Americans still trust the government dollar. And I think they're in for a wake-up call. Given how many dollars were printed in just the year 2020, we're going to see some major, I think, devaluation of the dollar. But going back to the story here, again, they're now seeing more businesses that are interested in Argentina to acquire these stable coins. In Argentina, the price of Dai is close to different dollar quotations, some belonging to the black market that emerged after the financial restrictions imposed in 2019. These informal quotations are currently higher than the government's official rate. One of them, of a legal nature known as a stock exchange dollar, or dólar bolsa in Spanish, which allows certain bonds to be purchased in pesos and sold for U.S. dollars abroad. However, the most famous quotation is called the blue dollar, commonly traded in illegal exchange offices known as caves, and usually hidden behind traditional businesses such as jewelry stores. So this is something I'd like to hear more about, these caves where people are secretly trading crypto for dollars or vice versa. This article just sort of barely touches on it, and it sounds really interesting. According to one of the exchange guys, although Dai's quote is close to these unofficial rates, its price does not depend on them. He says a good mass of Dai at a local level makes the price competitive, he said. The former head of smart contracts at MakerDAO explained in a 2019 talk how he received payments of Dai for his work. He said that he started getting paid in Bitcoin to escape Argentinian capital controls in 2014. He discovered the Ethereum network the next year in 2015, and when he joined MakerDAO in 2016, now MakerDAO is the decentralized autonomous organization that's behind Dai. They make Dai. He started receiving Dai as payments. He says, "I've never bought crypto with fiat in my entire life. I have only earned it," he says.
Must be nice.
Yep, it is nice. The programmer said that once a month he used to exchange the minimum amount of Dai for the Argentinian pesos to pay his expenses, but the rest was left in Dai. Although he acknowledged the risks of platforms and smart contracts, he prefers to trust those ecosystems before giving his money to the local government. He said, quote, "Dai has implications and good properties that our local currencies, at least now, do not have and may never have."
I would rather trust my money to a Gandhi-looking dude with an abacus than my local government.
I would rather die.
Yep. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Die.
Yep.
It's a do or die situation.
603-283-6160. So coming up, we'll talk about the D.C., Washington, D.C., possibly going to be the 51st state. That's apparently in the news, and Bonnie has that story. We can get into that discussion. Of course, you can bring up whatever's on your mind. 603-283-6160. And honestly, all this talk about diet has me wanting to look into it again just to try to better understand the mechanisms behind the scenes. Because as I recall, there were some really interesting things that they had set up to ensure that the price of dye stays at about $1. So that's important if you're dealing with a stable coin that's not actually backed by dollars, but is in point of fact backed by other cryptocurrencies.
You want to have increasing security.
Yeah. 603-283-6160. That's the number for you. You can join here with us on Free Talk Live and take control of the airwaves.
What if the United States and the Soviet Union had fought on land, sea, air, and the astral plane, struggled for dominion across parallel dimensions, or on the surface of the moon? What wonders would have been unveiled? What terrors would have haunted mankind from those dark and dismal dimensions? Come closer, peer through a glass darkly, and discover the horrifying alternative visions of World War III from some of today's greatest minds in science fiction, fantasy, and horror. Weird World War III. Available now from Baen Books at baenbooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you're helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Divvy's been a pretty good investment for Free Talk Live. Their ad campaign started in September 2019, and from mid-March to mid-July, the values soared by 10 times. It's not too late. Divvy's new wallet hasn't even released yet, and other things are happening that I can't even say on the radio. If you want to invest and potentially do well, go to divvyproject.org. I can tell you that FTL is deepening its partnership with the guys from divvyproject.org. Past performance is not an indication of future profit. divvyproject.org. D-I-V-I project.org.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191. The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. The number is 603-283-6160. You can bring up whatever you want here as we continue. 603-283-6160. It doesn't have to be money related. You know, we've definitely done our share of attacking the fiat currency systems out there for the night. Recommend that you learn more about cryptocurrency. As we mentioned, Bitcoin.com, a fine place to go and do that. In the studio with you here tonight, you've got Ian.
Bonnie.
And nobody.
And Bonnie, you wanted to talk about the 51st state. Will it be Washington, D.C.? Is there like a petition or something like that? What's going on?
To be fair, Captain put this in our chat, and I stole it from him just because it looked interesting.
That's okay. People put things in there, and anyone can use them, so you didn't steal it.
It's from NBCnews.com, and actually it's House and Senate Democrats introduced legislation Wednesday that would make Washington, D.C. the 51st state.
Wow.
The measure was reintroduced in the House by a delegate. Is that what DEL is? DEL is?
Yeah, probably. Or Delaware, one or the other.
Oh. Eleanor Holmes Norton, a Democrat who represents the District of Columbia and its companion.
Oh, okay. So, yeah. So a delegate, I think, would be because D.C. doesn't actually have a voting ability when it comes to Congress, as I understand it. So if you ever see a license plate from Washington, D.C., it actually has the tag. So, like, you know how New Hampshire's tagline is "Live Free or Die" on the license plate.
Yeah.
D.C. is no taxation, or no, it's taxation without representation, because D.C. has no voting representation in Congress.
So it's like a joke.
Yeah, it's definitely a joke. The tagline is a joke. It's sort of a self-deprecating joke, I guess. But what they do have, I believe, are these delegates. So they have people who go to Congress who can appear there and sort of advocate for D.C., but they can't actually vote on anything. So I think that's what the delegate is.
So she reintroduced the measure and its companion, and it was unveiled in the Senate by Senator Tom Carper, a Democratic delegate. As of Tuesday evening, Norton said that she had more than 200 co-sponsors in the House. There's never been a time when statehood for the district was more likely, Norton said in a statement, adding the bill was passed by the House last year for the first time and now had a record 202 co-sponsors.
So they passed it last year, but so that must mean it failed in the Senate, I presume.
It doesn't say, but
That's
it didn't
likely
pass.
what that means. So wait, it said it did pass last year?
Oh wait, it passed last year, but it didn't become a state.
Correct. That's probably because the Senate shut it down. Now, is it true that the Democrats...
to be either the Senate or the president.
Yeah. Is it true that the Senate now is Democrat or not? I feel like I've heard both things. Does anybody know?
It is Democrat because, like, the Georgia guy won against the girl.
But isn't it like 50-50 with the tiebreaker being the vice president?
Yes, the tiebreaker is the vice president, and I believe what I heard is that she is also the 51st vote.
Right, she would be the tiebreaker. Well, isn't that the same thing?
Yeah, the tiebreaker.
Right.
With the Senate companion bill also gaining co-sponsors, we're ready to achieve voting representation and full local self-government for the 712-plus residents of the District of Columbia, Norton said.
Ooh, okay, now this is also likely a Democratic move to give them even more control, right? Because D.C. is highly Democrat. D.C. voted like 90% or something like that for Biden this year. So if they can give D.C. 2 more senators, and then that'll give them even more control over what's going on in Washington, D.C.
Well, it's a Democratic ploy to gain more control for now, but ultimately just a ploy to get more control from the whole government.
Well, I mean, the government certainly is going to continue to increase its control whether or not this particular bill passes. But this will ensure that the Democrats have even more so-called representation in Washington, D.C. Because right now, if it is 50-50, and I feel like I've heard that that's the case, I don't follow these things closely. But yeah, there was all that controversy over Georgia. that if it is a 50-50 split in the Senate, this would make it 52 to 50. So it would give them even more sway over things if this passes.
Well, here's a clue. If it's backed by the Democrats or like a Democratic plan, it says House Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Majority Leader Steny Hoyer have committed to bringing the bill to the floor for a vote.
Yep. Yeah. And you know, as long as the Senate doesn't shoot this down somehow, as long as there's not enough of a, like if one of the Democratic senators switches sides and votes with the Republicans, then it would not pass. So unless they've whipped every single Democrat on the side of supporting this thing, then it may not actually succeed. But if it does, then we're looking at a 51st state, and that should get people riled up enough to start talking more about secession, don't you think?
Hopefully it makes things more hopeless than ever for those who don't like the ever-growing central control of everything.
How many representatives would they get out of this? I know that representatives are population-based, right? So would they get 2 reps, 1 rep, 3 reps?
I believe it's a minimum of 2.
Is it a minimum
reps.
of 2? Okay.
And I suspect they would get the minimum.
So probably 2, yeah, because New Hampshire's got 2.
Area, yeah.
And we've got a 1.4 million population. I suspect D.C. isn't that much larger.
Yeah, let's see what the interwebs say. But New York City is like 12 million.
Yeah, Washington, D.C. population is under 700,000.
Oh, okay, so it's less than Vermont.
Yeah.
Or just over Vermont.
Yeah.
Vermont's 600,000.
And so I guess however many reps Vermont has would likely be how many.
Which is also, I believe, 2.
Mm-hmm. So basically it would give Washington, D.C. even more sway over things that are going on.
Wow.
There. So this is a very bad thing, but at the very least, it could get people more serious about secession. We do have the Texas representative who introduced the secession bill this week. So Texas is going to have the chance to vote on a referendum if this passes the Texas legislature.
See, to me, that's premature. The first vote should be carried out at the federal level, I think.
The vote for Texas to secede?
No, I think there should be a vote at the federal level to basically on a resolution that if and when a state chooses to secede, we will not make war on them.
Yeah, that's a good suggestion.
I think that would be a great place to start.
Why don't you call up Rand Paul and see if he can put something out there?
Sure. I'll tell him I'm his long-lost cousin or something.
Mr. Paul, nobody's on the line to speak with you.
Yes, nobody Paul.
Is there more that we need to know about this, Bonnie? This story?
From the interest of basic fairness, I've always thought D.C. should be a state because they don't. They do pay federal income taxes, unlike, say, Puerto Rico. So it seems like they should be as badly represented as the rest of us.
Do the people of D.C. actually want this? Because it's being done in their name, but is it actually something that those people want to happen?
I think there's been a pretty strong majority that wanted to be a state for a long time.
603-283-6160. You can join us and share your thoughts on Free Talk Live.
Mounds and mounds of fur. Our hairballs have hairballs.
Our cat Mama, she's 10 years old. She has dandruff and an oily coat.
I have 2 cats, Sweet Pea and Daisy. Daisy sheds like crazy.
If you love your pets as much as I do, you want to do what's best for them to live long, healthy, happy lives.
DINOVITE.com.
I just tried this wonderful Catalicious Dynavite for cats, and my cat has been on it for 2 weeks. She is not scratching anymore. She's not chewing anymore. It is just the best.
I was thrilled when I heard Dynavite for cats was coming out because I'd seen the changes in my dog. To introduce my cats to Dynavite, I took the advice from Dynavite and put their food on top of just a scoop in the bowl, just to get them used to it, because I know if I even switch one little thing, they put their nose up to it. There was not one problem.
Dynavite for life.
You won't believe how happy your cat will be.
DINOVITE.com.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 28th through July 4th for ForkFest 2021 at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. ForkFest happens the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, and ForkFest is decentralized, which means no one is in charge. That also means there's no ticket cost. Just reserve your camping, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 28th through July 4th. Where better to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire? You can relax and enjoy the camaraderie of like-minded people, or you can create whatever experience or event you'd like others to have. If you're planning an event for ForkFest, be sure to let others know in advance. You can connect with fellow ForkFesters via the unofficial Telegram chat or the ForkFest forum. Links to those are on the unofficial website, forkfest.party. Mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th, 2021. We'll see you at forkfest.party.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organizations to show up in any emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare for the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411 has had thousands of installs, and of course it's covered by the BIPCOT no government license. Cell 411 because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
After excitedly posting an image of a Lamborghini Rebenton to his Facebook account earlier this afternoon, 38-year-old little boy Nick Weber talked to Onion reporters about his passion for fast cars.
When I saw that car, I was like, whoa, it was so cool. I had to show it to all my friends. I like red cars the best, but only ones that are really, really fast. I can't wait to get one when I'm older. I'm going to get the fastest car in the whole world.
The Weber also frequently posts about his other interests, which include motorcycles, fighter jets, and Marvel superhero Iron Man. The nearly 40-year-old small child confirmed that sports cars are his favorite, and the picture of the bright yellow Lamborghini has already garnered 15 likes and 9 comments from other enthused middle-aged children who are friends with Weber on the social networking site.
My best friend Bradley, he sent me a picture of a blue convertible that's so awesome. It has these big wheels and even has a racing stripe on it.
After watching several online videos of fast cars and eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch, the home-owning little tyke went to his room to take a nap.
This is the Onion News Network.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
This is Free Talk Live, and if you want to join us here, you can do that. The number is 603-283-6160, 603-283-6160. I want to say thank you to Free Talk Live Amplifier. Reasonable Voice is the name of the amplifier. AMP stands for Advertise, Market, and Promote. It's a way for you to help Free Talk Live get on more radio stations around the United States, bring new internet listeners on board, expose new people to the ideas of freedom. We got over 190 great radio stations across the United States that air this show. I just spoke with...
And 3 bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 bad ones.
3 bad radio stations?
Yeah.
Most of the bad ones go away. If they don't like what we're talking about, they usually cancel the show. And we've had a few lose, we've lost a few stations over the years because of that. But we actually are getting a station back very soon. I'm not going to say which one yet, but it's in New Mexico. So we'll be back on in a major New Mexican market again. Maybe we'll hear from Sarah. If all goes well, who knows? We'll see. But we'll keep you in the loop as far as how those things develop. And it's thanks to listeners like Reasonable Voice for joining the AMP program for $5 a month, which you can do with your credit card, debit card, your PayPal, or Bitcoin BTC over at amp.freetalklive.com. And you get some cool perks as well for doing that. So thank you.
Wow, and there's a cliffhanger going there. I still want to find out how things went for Sarah at Moms Against Cars.
Who's Sarah?
Ooh, who is Sarah? Can you answer that question?
Isn't Sarah the crazy woman who called in and hated cars?
Yes. So Sarah is a longtime caller, but she hasn't called in like a year and a half. And she used to call from Albuquerque, New Mexico, where she constantly was obsessed with various different traffic laws and specifically the danger of cars. So she wanted to have red light cameras and she wanted to have all kinds of mandates and medians, and she had all kinds of ideas for how she was going to stop people from getting hit by cars.
So she had like OCD or something.
She was definitely obsessed.
And I kept referring her to Moms Against Cars, which is a Facebook group.
And then we went to the Porcupine Freedom Festival in the year 2019, and when we came back, she never called again.
Wow.
Yeah, so we don't know what happened to her.
Maybe she knows what you did.
But we may learn more. We may hear from her again. You never know. We'll tell you what happens. And again, it's thanks to Free Talk Live listeners who've become amplifiers like Reasonable Voice at amp.freetalklive.com. So, Bonnie, you brought up this whole D.C. possibly becoming the 51st state thing, which would be a huge deal. I mean, it hasn't happened since Alaska joined the Union in, what was that, 1949 or something like that? I believe that was the last time. It was Hawaii, then Alaska, if I recall correctly. So it's been more than...
Alaska, doubled the surface area of the United States almost?
Or thereabouts, or 50% more, or something like that.
Yeah,
that's a lot.
Crazy big state.
So, I mean, that was definitely a long time ago. I mean, that's what, 2 generations ago that happened? Huh? More than 3 generations or something like that? If a generation's every 20 years?
4 generations if they're on welfare. They breed quicker.
But you wanted to get a conversation started about secession, and I think that will get a lot more people talking about secession if this D.C. proposal to become a state actually starts to get some headwind underneath it. And it may very well, because we did confirm it's 50-50 in the Senate. Now, 2 of the senators are quote-unquote independents. So 48 are Democrats, 2 are independents, and 50 of them are Republicans.
And the independents are like commies, right?
Right. The independents in this case is Bernie Sanders and a guy from Maine who's also like a Democratic caucus guy.
Yeah.
So they're basically Democrats, but they don't call themselves Democrats.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. If you find out, Bonnie, definitely keep us in the loop on that. But since we brought up secession, I just looked up secession in the news, and it's nice to be able to click on Google News and look for secession and actually have it be in the news, because it is.
Yeah.
Especially now with the Republican state representative putting forward a bill that is, if it passes, and it probably won't, because it will have to pass the Republican it'll have to pass the Texas House and Senate and governor, and the governor's not likely to sign this. But
is the governor Democrat?
I believe he's a Republican. I could be wrong about that. I don't. Do you know, Bonnie? You're from Texas.
Oh, he's a Republican. Abbott, the governor.
Yeah, the governor.
Yeah, he's a Republican.
Are the Republicans in charge of the state Senate and state reps?
I don't know anything else about the government in Texas.
I don't blame you. Who wants to pay attention to that stuff? It's awful. But presuming the Republicans are in charge, maybe this bill has a chance of passing. But given that governors in the United States are pretty allied with the United States government and not so much their state governments, I don't think Abbott would sign this bill, because he likely is going to do the bidding of the federal government over the people of Texas.
If a senile child molester as president isn't enough to make you want to leave, and Donald Trump wasn't enough to make you want to leave.
What would make you want to leave?
If you're on the other side, I gotta wonder, what would it take? I mean, how about an alcoholic, dwarf-tossing, half-blind former rodeo clown? Would that be enough to make you want to leave?
That actually sounds like a step up from what we have.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
At least that would be fun.
It's hard to imagine anything worse.
I'd like to watch an alcoholic dwarf tossing rodeo clown. That actually sounds...
especially if they tossed out dwarves during the State of the Union.
I've never seen dwarf tossing. I mean, I would be willing to pay for that occasion.
Well,
that'd be pretty amazing.
We don't have
That
a
sounds
dwarf,
inhumane.
but Bonnie's not that big. Can we toss Bonnie?
That's why I said it sounds inhumane.
I don't think I would want to put her in the clutches of any politician at any point.
No. I would no. If anybody is going to toss Bonnie, it should be us.
There you go. So I wanted to share an opinion piece here. This is from the Dallas Morning News. This is an editorial. So remember, editorial is where the entire newspaper editorial staff ostensibly agrees on this subject, and they've written this article. So it's not signed by anyone. It's the whole newspaper's editorial staff.
Okay.
And so this is what they have to say about secession. The headline, "Secession talk has always been irresponsible. Now it's dangerous." Secession, they say, is like a bad penny. It keeps turning up every few years, promoted by the most angry fringe of the Texas Republican Party. Well, here we go again.
They wouldn't be so angry if they didn't have people trying to control them.
Fredericksburg Republican Representative Kyle Biederman has announced plans to file a bill in Austin, and he has, by the way, calling for a referendum on Texas's statehood. Mostly Texans just ignore this nonsense, as they should. But given the unrest we've seen recently, it may be time to point out what a colossally bad idea this is. First, it's illegal. That much has been proven by Texas itself. In 1869, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in a case called Texas versus White that the U.S. Constitution provides no legal means of exit for member states. States aren't members of the Union until they change their mind. They're part of a bond the court called indestructible and the Pledge of Allegiance calls indivisible.
Well, the Pledge of Allegiance wasn't written until 1950-something.
No, it was the 1800s.
It was the 1800s?
Yeah,
they added under God
That's
in
right.
1950s.
But it was written by a socialist.
It was written by a socialist. Bellamy, I think his name was.
Francis Bellamy is a Christian socialist.
But the wow, that's just
So they're citing the Pledge of Allegiance as their evidence that the Texas can't leave the United States, which that's not legal.
Even if it's illegal, that doesn't make it dangerous. They're just saying, see, it's dangerous, and that's why it's illegal.
And the other thing is, if you've ever read the Articles of Confederation, the Articles of Confederation actually start out saying this is a permanent union. The Constitution says no such thing. So, if we're to take such language seriously, then what we need to do is dump the Constitution and return to the Articles of Confederation, because there is never any legal way to leave that agreement.
Well, as I understand it, the Texas Constitution actually holds secession as a right. That it's written in there.
It has long been said that Texas has a right to secede where other states don't. I think a close reading of the Declaration of Independence would indicate we all have a right to secede.
I like that. More coming up here. It's Free Talk Live. You can join us.
Hi, I'm Montel Williams. Most of you know me as a talk show host, but I'm also an author, actor, single father of 4, a fitness writer, avid snowboarder, and I'm also a medical marijuana patient. Like many of the million people who are living with multiple sclerosis, I'm in pain every single day. And sometimes my nerves are so raw that if you brushed up against me in an elevator, I'd scream. I can't sleep at night from the pain, and sometimes the spasms in my legs are so intense they will wake me up throughout the night. I've tried the strongest prescription medications available, and I'm gonna tell you, they do not work. In fact, they leave me in a stupor, and most of the time, it's impossible to even live your life. Now, I've tried medical marijuana, and I'm gonna tell you something, it works. If you'd like more information about medical marijuana, you can contact the Marijuana Policy Project at mpp.org or call 1-877-JOIN-MPP.
Are you a cryptocurrency advocate? The Crypto Tip is the ideal outreach tool to help new people discover cryptocurrency. It's a printable business card-sized tip that you can give to service providers, preferably in addition to a good cash tip. When the server scans the QR code, it'll bring up an explanation of cryptocurrency, how to install a wallet, and allow them to claim the tip. If they don't claim the crypto, you get your tip refunded to you after a time period you specify. Plus, if they do claim the tip, you get an email alert. Create as many tips as you want at cryptotip.org. That's cryptotip.org. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
Look, I'm sorry, but you're in for a world of pain if you use Koinomi. The reason is their wallet doesn't support payments. The solution is simple. Let them hear your voice. Message Koinomi on Twitter, it takes 5 seconds, and tell them AnyPay sent you, because they're on the fence right now, and your voice will prove that people care about using Bitcoin for payments. Go tweet at Koinomi now. Or even better, leave a review in the App Store. They really pay attention there. Thanks.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live. If you want to join us here in the remaining moments, we may have enough time for you at 603-283-6160. And you can join us in real life coming up at Forkfest 2021. It'll be this summer. And it will be the 5th annual Forkfest, which I'm super excited about. We actually just received an invitation from the boys from AnyPay to broadcast from their dome during Forkfest 2021, which I think will be pretty awesome.
Groovy.
So yeah, we're looking at talking with AnyPay about that. They're talking about doing a major upgrade to their dome in 2021. They've had an amazing party dome for the last 4 years of Forkfest, and it just keeps getting better and better. They're saying they've got like an even better dome that they're going to be bringing out in 2021.
Wow. I'm so excited.
I might have to look into buying that old dome because we need strippers this year.
Are they going to have the same lighting guy from the New Year's Eve party? Because that was so cool.
Yeah, I think they are going. I mean, I can't speak for AnyPay, but I would guess that they will because they work closely with him. So, yeah, we did have an amazing New Year's Eve party, and it was thanks to the AnyPay guys for making that as awesome as it could be. So if you missed out on the AnyPay Space Disco in 2020, you may have another chance to attend in 2021 if you attend the Forkfest. Now, I don't know what their rules. There's always rules. They're very exclusive in who they allow into their space disco. So I can't say for sure you'll be allowed in, but there's a chance that you will.
Me?
You, the listener, whoever that is.
I was going to say, they always let me in.
But there will be an awesome dome that will be present, and they're planning on doing it for both the Porcupine Freedom Festival and Forkfest. So they're planning on keeping the dome there for 2 weeks in 2021, which is going to be pretty sweet. So you'll want to mark your calendar for June 28th through July 4th. Go to forkfest.party, and from what I understand, the boys at AnyPay have reserved a new domain name, forkfest.com. So we may now see competing Forkfest websites, which I'm very excited about because Forkfest.party is not the best website in the world, and I'm sure someone else can do a better job. So I look forward to seeing that happen. From what I'm told, it currently forwards to forkfest.party for the moment because they don't have anything yet, but they did register the domain name there. So check that out. Mark your calendar, June 28th through July 4th. It's a decentralized libertarian camping festival, which means that there is no one who is in charge of the event. You get to decide for yourself what to do while you're at the Forkfest. And, of course, it comes the week after the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which is on its own a fine event. So if you can attend both, you probably should try to attend both. If you only can attend one, we will hope to see you at Forkfest.
Yeah, I wouldn't miss either of them.
Indeed.
More fun than a barrel of weasels.
So we're sharing with you here an opinion piece from the editors of the Dallas Morning News. They are talking against secession. They say that it is not only irresponsible to talk about secession, but also dangerous. And they cite a Supreme Court case from Texas versus White in 1869, where the U.S. Supreme Court claimed that the Constitution provides no legal means of exit. In 2006, the Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia reaffirmed that bond when he wrote, quote, "If there was any constitutional issue resolved by the Civil War, it is that there is no right to secede."
War does not determine who is right. War determines who is left.
Biederman, this is the representative Republican who's put forward what is basically just a bill to allow a resolution, or a referendum. So if this bill passes, there will then be a ballot referendum that is only a suggestion. It's not a mandate. So if the voters vote for secession or vote to support secession, it doesn't actually mean that the state reps actually have to do anything about it.
See, I think it would be great if we did a referendum, and I think it would pass. Do a referendum in all 50, on 49 out of the 50 states on whether California should secede. They're the only state that doesn't get to vote about. And if it passes, we just kick California out.
Well, California has its own secession movement, and they're actually collecting signatures right now. They have to reach 600,000 signatures to get a ballot measure to actually ask the Californians whether they want to leave. So they're working on that.
Yeah,
they've got the ball rolling on that.
That would be a good thing.
Biederman is promoting his silly idea, says the Dallas Morning News, and at every opportunity appearing on Newsmax, Glenn Beck, and Fox affiliate in Austin. He's gathered almost 7,000 signatures on a petition, and he uses Britain's...
we got to up our game. We haven't been on any of those places.
No doubt. New Hampshire definitely needs to up its secession game. I agree with you.
Yeah.
He uses Britain's recent departure from the European Union as an example. But Texas is not Britain, and the USA is not the EU. The European Union is
Which means it wouldn't be completely redundant for that secession to take place, whereas Britain seceding from the UN, from the EU again, would be completely pointless.
They say the European Union is a loose association of nations that join together with pre-existing protocols for a member to exit. Article 50 of the Treaty on European Union states that, quote, any member state may decide to withdraw from the Union in accordance with its own constitutional requirements. The U.S. Constitution contains no such off-ramps.
But the Declaration of Independence does say that that the purpose of the government is to secure our liberty, and that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of that end, it is the right of the people to alter, to abolish it.
It does. And in fact, the state of New Hampshire has something very similar in its constitution.
Indeed.
In Article 10 is the right of revolution, which basically says the same thing. I don't have it in front of me, but it's tantamount to the same thing. Even if we ignore the law, it's actually a little stronger in its language. It says it's the duty of basically people to do that.
Yeah.
Even if we ignore the law and adopt this unpatriotic plan, there are other problems here. Secession would be massively expensive. Really? Is it more expensive than paying 50% of your income every single year to the federal government?
Yeah,
because I doubt it. I doubt it.
Maybe it would be expensive for them because they're getting paid off by the feds in so many ways.
If it were to become a nation, Texas would have to establish its own military, its own citizenship and immigration laws, not to mention new taxes.
Oh, no, work for the government. Oh, no, work for the government.
Oh, they actually have to do things. Yeah, I see what you mean.
They really don't. They could have a perfectly good militia, and so long as they're not looking to actually go to war with anybody, militia's fine. You only need a military if you want to go invade other people.
If Biederman's fancy were to become reality, it would almost certainly mean a Texas income tax. We agree with Plano Representative Jeff Leach, who wrote on Twitter, quote, based on what you've said the bill does, it seems like the most anti-American bill I've seen in my 4+ terms in the Texas House. It's a disgrace to the Lone Star State, the very definition of seditious, a true embarrassment.
That's kind of the point.
Yeah, and
anti-American.
Sedition was an unconstitutional law. When did people start pulling that up as something that's bad?
Yeah, I mean, if they're attacking this guy over this, he's over the target. You know, he's getting flack.
The last thing they charged people with sedition for, as far as I know, was agitating against World War I.
Talk of secession, they say, is irresponsible at any time. But just weeks after insurrectionists stormed the Capitol in Washington, the timing couldn't be worse. Well, just to be clear.
That's not a sign that people want out, obviously.
Just to be clear, we've been talking about secession, and as have the Texans, for much longer than before the insurrectionists stormed the Washington.
Insurrectionists. Yeah. They were tourists. They were tourists. They were selfie-taking, overweight, overfed nincompoops who didn't even have the sense to stone a single congressperson.
If Biederman doesn't want to be an American anymore, that's his right. If he wants to move Texas toward an income tax, he's free to promote that agenda, which is not what he's promoting, and even convince a few thousand people to join him. If he's more comfortable in a place like California, where endless referendums have crippled progress, Southwest Airlines is booking flights. But none of those are good reasons for Texas to leave the United States. So this is it. The best they've got is to scare their readers with the idea of a Texas income tax. That's the best they've got.
Now let's think of it this way. What would you think of somebody who told a woman, it's a bad idea to leave your husband? He'll probably try to kill you if you do. Yeah, to me, that says it's a good idea to get as far away from that person as you possibly can.
Yeah, and anybody that's telling you to stay with your abuser, you better question their friendship. Let's go to David. He's in New Mexico. You're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, the U.S. Declaration also says it's not only our right but our duty to throw off such government. But at the radio station X in Albuquerque, how long ago did they let you know that they wanted to pick you back up again?
That station actually I heard from them today, but I'd heard rumor that it was going to happen last week.
Okay, because 2 weeks ago on air, the owner of the station read my text to them citing my wish list for his station, which included Free Talk Live, and he read it on air, and so
sweet.
I'll take credit for that one.
All right,
you.
David, you got it, man. So nice. Thanks for that.
Right.
It does
I'll
make a difference.
I'll send you $5 next month. You're our amp of the month.
It does make a difference when you reach out to a radio station,
absolutely,
and you tell them something nice, right? Like, don't tell them that you hate their programs. Tell them that you want to hear Free Talk Live. You just say something positive to them, and compliment what they have on the air if you can. So thank you, David, for that, and thank you for your call tonight. We are out of time, but we'll be back tomorrow night. You can join us online in the meantime, freetalklive.com. Check out Nobody at electnobody.com.
Yeehaw.
Want to accept Bitcoin at your online store? There's a good chance you already have what you need: a WordPress using WooCommerce and a Bitcoin address. Now all you need to start taking Bitcoin payments on your website is the AnyPay app on your Android or iPhone. Just paste your Bitcoin address into AnyPay, then connect it to your website with our one-click plugin for WordPress. Now your website takes Bitcoin, start to finish, in 15 minutes or less with no complicated steps. Download AnyPay from the App Store today.
Having taken her father's throne, Sarah Calhoun has fallen out with one of her best allies, and her brother Nathaniel heads into Imperial Philadelphia with a reckless plan. Her uncle Thomas, armed with new powers and new allies, aims to remove Sarah from her throne and from the world of the living. To survive and to gain the strength she needs to fight an impossible war, Sarah must unite the Mound Builder Kings to enact an ancient rite that will propel her beyond mortality. Servant Daughter by DJ Butler is the newest entry in the Dragon Award-winning Witchy War series from Baen Books at BaenBooks.com.
My name is Jacob Hornberger. I'm president of the Future of Freedom Foundation, which Congressman Ron Paul awarded for having an outstanding freedom website. Write us at fff@fff.org, and we'll send you a free 3-month subscription to our monthly journal of libertarian essays and our booklet, Economic Liberty in the Constitution, which George Mason University economics professor Walter Williams praised in a recent column. That's FFF at FFF.org.
If you want to know the latest about